sure it changes. Change the screen start like 6 seconds. There we go.
All of a sudden, it feels like we would do a rocket launch or something. I mean, I've been on doing this with you for like 200 times now, and this feels different for some reason. It's like the first time again.
This one's going to be special, girl. This one's going to be special.
Yeah. Yep.
I do need a new Reaper.
Yeah, you've been talking about that Reaper that needs a replacement.
Knock my mic out.
Oh yeah, you pulled it out. Now you're
I
back
do
in
that all the
again.
time. Yeah, I need a new Reaper ad. I've been on them. Get me something else. But yeah, it's been a long time. But they're always so busy. They're such great people, guys and gals.
Yeah. Tell them that you will record one yourself.
Yeah, I should. I should when I get some time.
When you get all the Reaper minis, you can make your
Well,
own
man,
version.
so
Yeah.
they're not waiting. They have 2 containers for Bones 5 that are not there yet still.
Wow.
And they're just going to start shipping stuff without them because it's taking so long now. You know, these last 2
Is that like a
containers.
bunch of Bones Kickstarters you get in one
Yeah,
go,
we're
or-
going to get like 500 figures. 'Cause
Wow.
from the Kickstarter. It's almost been 2 years since that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it takes a while to
Yeah, from the
deliver
original
all the stuff.
Kickstarter. So
I just
look
hear
at
about
that first time chat person.
Yay.
Wow. Alyssa, I gotta give you a VIP badge. My apologies.
I'm the VIP.
Oh, yes. Very VIP. Yep.
Give you that little diamond. Unfortunately, though, I have 80 VIP badges. I got so many that have turned into point things in the last couple of weeks that I don't have any right at the second. Plus, I don't like doing it during the stream either. See if
Yeah, and I don't. I hear you on that. It's all totally good, and I don't like actually typing too much during the stream because you'll get my keyboard.
Yeah.
What's up, Rocks? Good to see you, Rocks. For mods. Great mods is on. Which is always a good thing. Everyone's looking forward also to getting this great Controller Games Kickstarter for 8th edition.
Yeah. Are they up to the 8th edition?
I think it's 8th edition.
Of CNC? Wow.
Oh, I should have given you the Castle Keeper's Guide map I did for that.
I'm sorry?
I should have given you the Castle Keeper's Guide map I did for that.
Oh,
There's always
that-
more.
Oh,
in
no,
the
I
menu
haven't.
for episode.
I saw it on the post. Oh, I have it.
Okay.
The full page. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, this is neat.
Perfect.
Yeah, I have that. Definitely.
you've
That would
done
be
stuff
appropriate
for-
for your sponsor.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you
there.
work for Troll Lord. I haven't yet, so.
Yeah, let me, what's up, Dwayne? Mecca, good to see you. Yeah, I took, it's not a, yeah, I pulled it off of Facebook. I know you posted it somewhere, Alyssa, and I saw it. I was like,
Oh,
oh.
I could do better than that. Hold on, let me. Come on, you're Lord Gasumbo. I can give you a high-red version of that.
Yeah, and now we have Dropbox for that. You pay Dropbox a lot of money to.
Yes,
to
but
be
I don't
able
have
to do stuff
Dropbox
like
open
that.
on my main computer. It's only open on my laptop now.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you don't want to suck up. the
Yeah,
bandwidth
I
with-
may be able to,
with
I'll
Dropbox.
risk, if it's in Dropbox, I'll risk,
How about Discord? Do you want me to drop in a link to Discord?
yeah, Discord would be
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
Drop it into Discord.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Big
funny,
Jim, for
meaning-
the resub.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Meaning
feel
you
great.
you connect. Yeah. You connected to me in Dropbox. That's dangerous enough.
Yeah, oh my
and
gosh,
have it
it's
open on
dangerous.
stream is very dangerous. Yeah.
Very, very dangerous. All right, so I got it up here. I'm gonna take the. Hopefully, it's under the 10 meg file. As long as Dropbox accepts it.
It's under 100 megabytes.
It's just under
There it is.
That is tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for Anna and my maps. I mean, that's
We have to
immense.
talk about, yeah, we have to have an episode talking about file sizes, because that's like, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a problem in itself. Yeah.
I got it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and that might be the one that the public hasn't seen yet,
Awesome.
because it has an extra one on there.
Oh, cool.
Very, very cool.
And you posted a bunch of them individually on Facebook and stuff that look
You got it.
absolutely awesome.
Hey, what's up, Naz?
I get a very Harn-esque feeling when I
Can
see
you all
it.
hear us? I'm hoping that they can hear us.
Hello, Troy.
All right,
Yep, welcome.
awesome.
Yep.
So as you can see, the Naz has a founder badge right there, and he's in 34 months.
34 months.
44 months
Yep.
subscriber. So Tim is the first inner circle of friends that started subbing way back, almost 3 years ago. Yep.
It's like Twitch has not even been born yet, and he's already subbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He'll
Mad
already be
props
there.
for that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it's super cool. Make sure I got everything open here. Look at that, we already got a follower.
We don't know this, but Naz was the one that told Twitch that they need to actually start a service.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it was different. Like 3 years ago, I would go on a certain night and stream a D&D game, and there may have been 50 D&D streams. Go on now, there's 500
Yeah.
on any given night. What's up, Mike? There's one of our giveaway sponsors for the night, the great Mike Disney.
Hello. Wonderful to have you here.
Hey, Tea Time with Taryn. What's up, Taryn? Doc. Well, it's going to be a really good show tonight. Can't wait. By the way, Thursday night is the next giveaway for Infinite Dimensions games. You know, this that arena you see right now, that's in our hands. We're going to paint that up and have that ready for Virtual BrayoutCon for the Grand Melee.
So it's already printed?
Yes.
Oh,
It's already
wow.
printed. Yes, it's already printed. Actually, I got Mike Saxton, Retro Gamer Meth, to print it for me.
Yep.
So
Cool.
cool, Taryn. Great. Yeah, it's going to be an introductory night with a lot. We're going to bounce all over the place, and then
Yep.
already have the next date set up for the next show. We're going to do these once a month and go into different guests and topics. And look at that, it's 7:51. So
Yep.
it's like usual. We're going to be not too early. Hey, Walt.
Yeah, special welcome to Alyssa. That's perfect. Yep.
I always like being early rather than late, so everyone knows that for the most part, which is always a good thing. So the crowd will start coming in. Note the following. I already know who we're raiding into tonight, and that is we're going to be raiding into Nightheart Gaming. And just so everyone, please stay for that because they are doing something very special. Let me go and get the specifics on this. The Trevor Project, Anne is running 2 D&D games benefiting the Trevor Project at our friends Nightheart Gaming tonight and tomorrow. So they'll be in process of their game as we come in. They start an hour later than us, so we're definitely going to raid into Nightheart's fundraiser for that Trevor Project. All right. Oh, there you go. Now you're a subscriber. Thanks, Troy.
Simply, yep.
Look, we already got a hype train going. That's crazy. course, I got a new entry screen. Yeah, it's all right.
That's early. We start to find a hype train.
Yeah, there's a hype train at 6 minutes before we're supposed to go on now. So, all right, and we welcome to our entry screen, and I'm honored tonight to have Alyssa Faden and Anna Meyer both join me for a brand new show.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut for most of this, everyone.
No. You need
The name of this song, by the way, is "For the King" by Dark Fantasy Studio. So, and Alyssa, you put a lot of your stuff on Humble Bundle too, correct? You do Humble projects?
Occasionally, yeah. I do them mostly with Rocket.
Okay. So, because I got Dark Fantasy's all their music off of Humble, and it's awesome. You know, so that's where I got a lot of this music from, and it's a great cause that they have set up, and it's nice to be able to get some great product off of it and have a good cause as well. So, what's up, working? Tino, what's going on? That's a good question, Jason. I'm going to tell you that. I'll answer. Hey, first question is actually for me.
That's awesome. That's perfect. And I think it's a very, very good question, because that was one of the things I wanted to ask. Meaning, a miniature-based gamer, what kind of maps do you want it needs?
That's a great question.
Yep. So it's perfect. So thank you so much for asking wonderful questions already before we started the show. So yeah. And in a way, you can even look at a miniature table set up as a map.
That's true, and that's what I do.
It's a form of map. And,
absolutely.
And yeah, that's one of the questions we want to dig into later in the show is, what is a map actually? What constitutes a map?
That's another great one. What actually is a map?
Yeah, from a fantasy tabletop role-playing game perspective, but it's kind of universal. So I have my own definition that I've kind of studied from various sources, and we'll hear where Alyssa thinks. And
so close to hopping out over level 1. So all right, I'm going to come on early, 4 minutes early. Normally we're in the crew too. Woo! And we'll just why not? So
hi, George. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming on tonight. We already got almost 80 people on before you even started.
Wow.
Here. I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba. Brand new show. And I am only the producer here. It was, I have the honor
You're
of
a co-host. At least. Yes.
I have the honor of introducing both great Alyssa Faden and Anna B. Meyer to the Fantasy Mapping Show. Anna and Alyssa came together with a great concept. I'm like, this is awesome. I can't wait to produce this and bring this out to everyone. So let's introduce both Anna and Alyssa and tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get into the meat of what we want to talk about and what direction we want the show to go. Alyssa, welcome.
Yes.
You see, this is where I come on the show and I go, I'm Alyssa Faden, and I draw maps.
No, you can do way better than that. I've been around. I've heard you talk.
Hi everyone. I'm truly honored to be here. I know I'm the noob in the room. I already feel like family. So I'm Alyssa Faden, and I am a professional cartographer. And I said that like I'm professing that I'm an alcoholic or something, but I've been drawing maps professionally for about the last 15, 20 years, something like that. In the last 10 years or so, I draw maps for Monte Cook, Cobalt Publishing, Trollord Games, and various other sort of publishers. I'm best known for my city maps, but I also do a lot of overland maps of different styles. And the main thing that I bring is I love to just do stupid, manic detail. If you're looking at a map and going, holy heck, did she really draw that? Then it's probably one of mine. That's what I like to do. I do everything by hand. I was originally ink on paper. I started coloring actually for Cobalt Publishing, funny enough, digitally, because I drew something and I was like, this is Cobalt. I really need to step up my game. So I went off and got myself a Wacom tablet to color it. And that converted me. Now I draw everything and color everything digitally, but I still do everything by hand. And have a lot of fun doing it.
Oh. That's fantastic. And now everyone, now you know why I wanted Alyssa, because I wanted a true professional cartographer on the show.
Oh,
so
come on.
that has
Oh,
a
come
way more extinguished CV in this business than I do. So now, well, it's awesome. Thank you, Alyssa, for wanting to do this with us. It's a
No,
true honor
I'm
to have you
honored.
here.
Honestly, I'm truly honored. You know,
Yep.
Anna, I don't know how long you and I have known each other. It's been a while.
10 years,
And-
I think.
And we
Something
met
like
at
that.
Gen Con, and
Yeah,
the minute we met, we clicked, and
Yep.
we just
Mhm.
love to talk.
Yep.
And we love to talk about the hobby. We love to talk about maps. And I think this show was destined to be right
Yes.
back when
Yeah.
we first
Mhm.
met.
Yep. We've said it, but then we have to have someone to produce it and do all the technical, difficult stuff and so on. And now when I've been on Jay's show so often, I thought this is a match made in heaven, so to speak. So
Thank
Jay
you,
knows
Anna.
how to do Twitch and be an awesome host and all that. So we can kind of get the stuff. And my idea when I invited Alyssa and asked Jay to come up with this is to have a show where we talk about fantasy cartography from both a user perspective, but also from a cartography perspective. So I don't think this will be the show. If you want to know exactly what menu to press and what buttons to do in Photoshop and so on, this is probably not going to be the show. There is a lot of tutorials, meaning, and Alyssa and me have done tutorials, and I'm sure we're going to do more tutorials. So this is more a show to be inspired, to get ideas of what to do, how to go about doing them, what tools to use, and how to use your maps in your games, etc. A lot of dimensions and publishing maps and different styles. We want to have guests on and a whole bunch of stuff. So that was my kind of idea.
You can actually watch me streaming, and it's still not the show to watch to how to use Photoshop, because I'm like, is this the menu?
Yeah. It's so funny. People ask me, "Oh, you should stream when you work," and I realize watching paint dry is literally more interesting than to watch me do what I do. So a lot of things are so boring that it must be terrible to watch. But we'll see. Yeah, on that too. So yeah.
And we'll go in a lot of different directions too.
Yeah.
The great thing about this show is we're completely open to the topics and the discussion. Whether it's incorporating into VTTs or special guests or a specific topic, we're really excited about this, and I'm looking forward to it, because I know it's only gonna. Maps are becoming so important, especially in the VTT world, right? They just are, because of the way people are playing remotely. Plus, everyone, and we talked about this on our Legends and Lore on Wednesday night. The world of Greyhawk is so poorly documented in maps for cities.
Yep.
It is, right? And it's just it's an area that is really, look at that, the Magnificent Pecs. We know who that is. John. Hey, John. Good to see
Awesome.
you.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
We have to tell TSR and Wizard of the Coast never hired Alyssa to do the city maps. That's why they have crappy city maps comparatively. No, some of them are actually not that bad. And I think a lot of them, the problem is not the cartography. The problem was that this initial city concept was not developed. They hadn't looked at what the city was actually going to look like. That's just told someone to just make a map, basically.
Well, and I think we might get into this even a little bit later on in the show when we start talking about what is a map. But, this is one of the reasons why there's certain publishers I haven't worked with, because when you think about that, I'm doing 60, 80 hours plus on a map.
Yeah.
Most publishers don't want to do that, right? I mean, if I'm going to draw, a city map, I'm going to give this little shop here a backyard, and I'm going to put some little crates in the backyard, and I'm going to put all of these little stories in there, like a little sprinkle of salt for each house, each building, each store, and a lot of publishers don't want that. They want functional.
Yes.
Just give me a square. This is not about you drawing a garden. This is all about the labels that you put on the map.
Yeah.
And so this is why there's certain clients that I can work with and certain projects where I personally am allowed to shine. But otherwise, if it's a 10-hour map, I'm probably not the one working on it.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that you realize, that can be too much information, especially depending on what play style there is. Because a lot of DMs, they want an overview map, and then they want to be able to insert a little forest or a little stream or whatever they need for the story then and there at the game table. And a lot of publishers also want to have a cool looking map that doesn't give away too much detail, so they can fill in with whatever modules they want to design later, so to speak. And that makes it real tricky. So maps, there is a lot of backsides and devious kind of things that needs to go into map making, especially if it is for published product line that needs to be filled out later, so to speak. There's a lot of, and that might go for your game style too. If you fly by the seat of your pants as a DM and you do a lot of theater of the mind, you just want to drum up with whatever cool little terrain feature your story needs that evening. And so then a pre-made map with all the details might hamper you in your game style, or vice versa. If you're a DM that wants to plan out where the orcs have their ambush and where they live and where the beholder lair might be and where the dragon lives, etc., and so on, and what they sell in the market in the big city, then you want the perfect detailed terrain that looks like a satellite photo, or visualize the whole area, so to speak. So it's very different. A lot of these topics, I think, we will touch over episodes, so to speak, because this is supposed to be a monthly show. That's the idea.
And the great thing is we're going to have fun with this and go with whatever direction the questions go too. And we can always come back to things as well. Real quick, 2 giveaways tonight, courtesy one of our great friend and sponsored yarder, Mike Disney, in Overgord print. Mike actually has, right, Mike, you actually have an Overgord figure that Reaper sent you. We're all still waiting for ours because of the holdup. But yeah, a signed Mike Disney Overgord print and a $25 gift certificate from Troller Games. So we'll do 2 giveaways tonight. And hopefully we see Chuck hop on at some point too from Trollord. I don't know. He's been pretty swamped, but maybe we'll see Chuck come on and say hello as well. All right, so you want to hit up some examples? Is that what we'd like to do first here? Now I got some new screens. Hopefully these all work.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll test.
Yes, we're gonna test the first one here. So and I have this up there. Look at that. I already have it up already. So I want to talk about an example. This is recent, right, Alyssa?
Yeah, you can zoom way in there too, because they're full page, half page, quarter panels, and I just decided to do them all on one canvas because why not? It's super sexy, so let's do it. This was for Trollord Games, Castle Keeper's Guide. They contacted me and asked if I would be willing to draw 12 maps, basically from a hamlet and a thorp and a village, all the way through to a mega city. And I was like, hell yeah, of course I will. And it got to a point where if you scroll a little bit to the left there, that it was like, okay, so now draw a tower.
You have a 3D cutout and all that.
Well, so if I draw a tower from above, that's going to look kind of boring. That's going to look like a circle on a canvas of green. So someone on my Twitch channel at the time was like, you should do a cutaway, and why not do a block? And I was like, first, I don't do cutaways, and secondly, what's a block? And as someone who does castle stuff all of the time, maybe that I should be a little bit of ashamed, but that there is the first cutaway I've ever drawn in my life.
Wow.
And I had so much fun with it. And as I was drawing it, I was like, I am not going to do another cutaway. I am not going to do another semi-isometric sort of view here. This is the last time I do it. And goddamn, look at the panel next to it. I ended up doing the same again for the Mott and Bailey. I'm like, a Mott and Bailey from above is just 2 circles next to each other. Right. So I'm going to have to go a little bit out here.
I must say, for being the first time you did that, it's turned out really, really well. And so first of all, what was the meaning? Did they dictate what the style choice? Meaning, this to me reminds me of the best of Harn work when it comes to the Harn world in coloration and style and stuff. Was that an inspiration, or was the idea of going with the style?
Honestly, getting through the project was my main motivation.
Okay, well, that's a good motivation to do it on time and on budget, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, this is there. This is from the brand new Kickstarter, right? So this is brand spanking new that everyone like myself and all who went in the Troller Games Kickstarter is going to get all these maps, which is fantastic.
I'm not even sure if this thing has gone out in print yet. They put the PDF out a short while ago. This is super fresh.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chuck's gonna be upset he missed this, but that's okay. Yeah, no, this is.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, there was I didn't really look to any of the styles. Part of this was I don't do 12 maps in one time. I just don't work that way. But I love Troll Lord games, and so when they say, "Will you do 12 maps?" I was like, "Yep, sign me up. Let's do this thing." And but they also said, if you have something already that you've done, we'll buy it. And so the Metropolis, that thing right there, I had that already done, not colored. And so I actually used my own work as inspiration. And actually, the town is a smaller version of that. The town with walls is a smaller version of that.
Do I have that?
It's all on there.
Okay.
And it ended up being the Thorpe and the Hamlet were a small part in the top left corner of the Metropolis. And so I kind of ended up just reverse engineering the whole thing.
Reuse it. Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Reuse it. That's smart.
Yeah. So if you go top left, you'll actually see that single abode is on the Thorpe.
Okay.
And then the Thorpe is actually within the village. And then the village is within the town.
But this is cool because you can also see how a settlement grows from tiny village to big city by doing this. So it's a perfect example.
It was a wonderful exercise. And honestly, that's one of the things I love to do. We ended up like just with the Thorpe and the Hamlet and the village. We had little stories going. I'd love to draw my stuff like live, and we got people hanging out, much like this. And people are saying, "Oh, you should do a fisherman. Oh, you should do this." And so we were just like drawing these little things, and they were like, "Well, what if the fisherman had a fancy woman that was just down the way?" And so we ended up drawing all of these little stories into the map. That's what I love to do. And so if you zoom way in on the village, you'll actually see all sorts of little things. There's even a little pig or a little sheep,
See, that's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to get close to that. Oh, I see. Yeah, but something's down here in this. What is that? A
cow and
is that a cow or?
There's even a cat on that map.
There's a sheep.
Chasing a couple of hens.
So that means that your resolution is like 1 pixel per like a couple of inch, or
I think the resolution on this was 450 or 600, something like that.
Okay, so it's roughly a pixel every foot or so.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's and it's exciting that it's coming. It'll be out very shortly.
Yeah.
With all the Troll Lord games, wonderful things that they're doing. And they've been such a fantastic sponsor here too.
Yeah.
And also they're sponsoring GrailCon again. GrailCon 2 coming up, which is a wonderful thing. It's
Jay, you can dig into my map in Dropbox, and I put something that no one else has. Oh, well, it's very new too.
I have it all on my machine now. So
so go into Animaps, and there is a Hex 3D down.
This is under sample folder, correct?
Yep. No, not in the sample folder. Straight in my map folder. So
it's in old maps.
No, outside of it.
Oh, you didn't put it in either one of the two. All right.
Oh, hang on a second. I put it in the sample folder. So there you go. And it's called 3D.
But I have them already. Downloaded to my machine.
Got you. Then it's too late.
Put it in Discord.
Yep.
Put it in Discord if it fits, and I will get it.
Oh yeah, it's small. This one is very small.
I will get that. See,
this is all.
We're learning a little bit as we go here too.
Yep.
So
sorry. Sorry about that. Yep.
With all this, but that's okay. I got it here.
So you can.
We go. Oh wow.
So that is because and this is kind of just to show that there are different ways of doing things too. And this is a quick and dirty promo image for a Kickstarter that launched yesterday by Gryffindor Games.
Super fresh.
Yeah, so it's very, very fresh, and it's a quick and dirty job, so it's not anywhere near. And this is something we should dissect in a future show, exactly how this is made, so to speak, or not exactly, but in principle how it's made.
Boom. Quick and dirty. Look at this. Come on.
So this is a quick and dirty. This is a part of a map for a project that is going to be set in Arcadia, meaning it's another plane. So it's an ethereal ocean around it that is semi-transparent, kind of bluish, and then it's a mountain. And the idea is to have a hex crawl, but instead of having boring top-down maps, you will actually see what the terrain looks like for each hex. So this is some miles across, like 7 miles or something like that, or 10 maybe across. And there's like a major mountain ridge, and then there's rivers and stuff. And this is just a concept, a quick concept that I put together in a couple of days, and just did a couple of these as an example, so to speak.
So you're using some new technology with this one, or is this one?
Well, it's the same as I'm using well, it's the same technique I've used for my Shieldlands maps and stuff.
Okay.
And the same technique that Lindor Isles and stuff will be getting this treatment down the line, so to speak. So yep. So that's what I'm working in. But this is low resolution compared to Shieldlands. This is 1 pixel per 100 yards or something like that.
It's got to be low resolution, because I was able to pull it over Discord. There's
exactly. Otherwise it would be 40,000 pixels, which is interesting. A map that covers the same area in Shieldlands is 30,000 pixels. That's the resolution difference. So yeah. So that is, so that will come in top-down view and 3D view, so you can actually see what the terrain looks like when you go exploration, so to speak. So that's another, and here we have another beautiful map.
Yeah, I just popped. I was using this one as a background, a placeholder, some of Alyssa's examples. I love the city map, which we seem to be lacking a lot of in Greyhawk, and this one's a nice, and also, which was the other one? This one here is really cool looking too, Alyssa. Both those.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of irony there too, because I drew that one probably back in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of my older pieces.
Okay. It's cool looking, really cool. Question: Zytek asks, is the height to scale on yours, Anna?
Yeah, I answered yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the height is to scale. Yeah, it is to scale. And since it's outer planar, we kind of push the boundaries a bit, so the things could be really tall and kind of, we went overboard a little bit, so to speak. But so cool. Part of that Kickstarter will be a hexploration over a bunch of hexes with really detailed visualized hexes. So yeah.
This is in the 90s. That's amazing.
You see that you're going to see Jay has some old crappy maps that I did back in the 90s, and we have to and I wanted to show everybody that anyone can do what we do. You just have to be tenacious, stubborn, keep at it for years, and have a vision, and willing to learn.
Do. Not what Anna does. Anna, you're going to need a couple of $1,000s worth of rig and a whole lot of learning
that's
time.
true. Yeah, okay. That's
With me, you just need a biro and a pen and just
patience, that's true.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So why don't we show some of this original old work that you have, and we'll bounce back and forth. I have the folder open. Alyssa, if you want to tell me which one you want to go with.
Oh, you know what? Pick any of them.
How does Overland 1996 sound? How's this?
Sure. Oh yeah, that's delightfully old. And this is not my oldest piece actually, because I actually how do I even start with this one? So we're going to see some of mine that are even older than this, but so back in the day, and I'm going to age myself, I was role-playing in the 80s, probably around 83, 84, I started playing Dungeons & Dragons. And there are scenarios out, but not many scenarios that you can buy in town. So I'm writing my own scenarios now. I'm writing my own world now. There was a lot of that going on. And so that's when I started mapping that away. That's when I started drawing, because I had to. I've got to draw my own stuff now. And so we're going to see some of my earlier work because, I'm using very fine pens, but then how do I color them? Well, this one had pencils, which is good. That's a step up.
So you actually drew the whole blue ocean or water with pencils?
They look like felt tip. The water looks like felt tip to me.
Okay, yeah.
I was a fan of felt tip, and I can't tell you why, other than I had them. I don't know.
Well, that's what you do. You take what you have. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this particular map, if you look at it, I got inspiration actually from modern cartography maps.
I was just
like
going to say, I get some ordnance
you can see
survey
the contour
vibes here.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was looking, and in my earlier days, that was my style. That's that's a beautiful shot for it, actually. You can see that was my like, how do I draw a hill? How do I draw a mountain?
Yep.
Look at a real world map and go, I guess that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
And so that was my inspiration. I did look at real maps though too. I studied real maps for coastlines and such, and islands and things. And I feel I got an interesting look. This was actually a previous. Okay, so true story on this one. Do you remember the game? Go with the moon gates and such, and the Ultima.
Ultimate 8, Black 8.
Do you remember they had the whole thing was based in Britannia?
Lord British.
I drew on my original world map Britannia, and everyone in my group complained because it's a stupid name when you come from Britain, right? And so in a later iteration, which is what we're looking at here, I smashed Britannia into smaller islands. I had a cataclysmic event occur, which is why it's so fragmented. So this was all done in just ink on paper, very just fine lines, contours for the hills, etc. You can see the grid. The grid is because I would zoom in on an area and draw it even finer, like a old school Google Maps or something. And then I would have a grid on that and zoom in again. And that grid conforms to my world map then. So that was probably early 90s, that particular map.
Yeah, and to me it shows. I really like the map. It's really cool, and it shows to me that in the beginning we are all looking at real world maps because we don't have any other references. Meaning we haven't started to explore what fantasy mapping really can be, because there's different needs for fantasy maps than real world maps, and that's something we need to talk about in depth further on, so to speak. So should we look at my horrors now?
Yeah, sure. I'll bounce back and forth. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, go back to go to Highport.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh.
This is my style from this
like
is
me.
probably 92, 93 or 90, early 90s. And this is, I sketched them basically before every game session. I did an area and I had this photocopied hex paper and then just drew. And it's all hand pens. I had a pencil case. I still think I have it somewhere, a set of pencils that are like in 18 colors or something, thick ones, and I just used them, and those pencils have been with me since early 90s, and I just drew, and it's contour lines and different colors for like forest and meadows or whatever it was, and then rocks going in. So it was very simple and just functional. I had no idea of style or anything like that. It was just functional. It was just something to assist me in my DMing. That was it, so to speak.
Do you know what I find interesting here, though? Is that there's actually early elements of the way you're thinking in the modern day. Like you have truly transitioned the same thought process with technology and such, and obviously more talent, into basically a higher version of this. I can see this. If honestly someone put this in front of me and said, yeah, Anna did this like 30 years ago, I would go, yeah, I can actually believe that. There's a thought process here. I never did anything like this because I didn't think like this.
For me, this was, thank you. And this is like a quick and dirty process. I didn't spend hours and hours on this. I was like, okay, where's we going next? And then I sketched out and I read the area and I sketched out and tried to make a believable landscape. And you have to realize I'm coming from, and most of the viewers already know this, but I've been a heavy user of real mapping in the real world. I've been a pilot, I've been a soldier, I'm an avid hiker, I've been out on seas and sailed a bit, kayaking and stuff, and used maps. So so I know a hell of a lot about real world navigation and how to use maps. So maps is not a new concept for me, and that's why I love to. That was why I felt that mapping was my thing in role-playing games, because there are so many other people that are much better at game design or rules or monsters and stuff than I am, but mapping was my kind of thing. And then I realized that real world mapping and fantasy mapping are two very different beasts. And this is my first kind of, before I even thought about it, it's just started to draw maps that were a bit like you did, Alyssa. We only had the examples, and in my back head I had like, oh, the real world map, I need to find my way
the real
around.
world. I'm looking at maps for my examples. You're looking at the freaking real world from a plane. This show is going to be so much fun. Because you and I, we both draw maps, but we both have a very different approach, even if our scale is similar.
Yeah,
the way we approach things. I mean, this is a perfect example what Lord Kasumba has got up here on the screen.
This looks very interesting. Yeah,
you would approach this from a completely different angle, a beautiful angle, but just differently. Our brains think like just differently. We're looking for different things. This was the Dwarven Shires, and I probably did this again early 90s, maybe mid 90s. And I think my approach now, just looking at how you think about maps, Anna, the way I think about maps is, let's just get more detail in there or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I wanted to, but this also is an interesting one, because this is maybe my first where I started to deviate away from strict contour lines. I've still got contours in here, but I've started to introduce more of a solid line that I eventually break away from. But I've got maybe my little rivers and lakes and stuff. I still do that today. That's my style today. And this is maybe, and my trees are right there. This is maybe the first map I ever did that actually started to capture some of the real world, or the things I do nowadays on it. This was, again, ink on paper. I noticed that I didn't color this one because I realized my coloring sucked. So stop coloring things, Faden.
Okay, so you started with colors and then you moved over to black and white and kind of outlined maps rather than colored for a while.
Yep. But I was searching for something and I didn't have the tools for it. I'm not sure I colored a map until I went digital.
Okay.
I did one city map, which I did not share yet.
Okay.
And I did that one completely in colored pencils.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go over to Jay. If you find that there is one map in my let's see, old maps. We have Greyhawk City, page 01. Go to that one. That's that's another. That's the digital version.
Oh, I see it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, that's my, and zoom in a bit. That's my, when I did my Greyhawk, when I read the Gord books first time, and then I did this map, and that was my sketching out the city, so to speak, for the my concept of the city.
Jason Savota's going to love this because it's the actual one right from the Gord books. Yeah.
So that was the idea. So I took and I kind of elaborated a little bit on it and put some I detailed the castle in the middle and a little bit. I added to it here and there and so on and filled it out. So this was my overview adventuring map, and I never got to do the surroundings really, because the people just went in and out of the city. And I realized that I don't need to do outside the walls because we were always inside when we were in the city, so to speak. And then it's also page city 4. There's one city block that I did for and I've actually done most of this. Yeah.
Foreign quarter.
Yeah. So
cool.
I did. So zoom in on that one. That's my very, and there might be some Swedish.
Too.
Yeah, streets and stuff. So that's my just penciled in, and meaning maps were just functional for me back then. It was just getting the information in order to run my games. That was it, so to speak, and fill in the details and just do it. So I didn't have that much when it came to styling. Was something I had to learn the hard way to get it to look good, so to speak. It was pure function to begin with, function and efficiency. I needed to crank out this wherever we want. I wanted the details, so when we came back to it, it looked the same way the next time. And I also used dry erase markers on a big table. So I drew a copy of this on dry erase markers, and then I used the camera and take a picture afterwards as a reference, so to speak. And that way I could improvise on the fly and do. So I often, when I described something during the adventures, I drew it by hand using dry erase markers. And in the beginning, we had a big paper and I used Sharpies. And then we moved to dry erase markers because that was much easier, because you can adjust things as you come, and you can draw a wall and then you can add a secret door afterwards and stuff. So that was map making during the adventuring, so to speak. And I took a picture of it, and we used tokens or miniatures or whatever, dice or something to represent the creatures, the monsters that we put. So that was the.
Let's say one thing about all the maps we've shown so far. There's nothing wrong with them for using them in game for anyone who's making them in the audience. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, whatever works for you is great too.
That's
you know?
yeah, and I think that's the first stage that I want to emphasize for everybody who wants to get in. What I should urge you to be accomplished is to make maps that are useful for you in your games. You should be able to produce something that you find really useful for your games. I hope that everybody who watched this show over the coming months will reach that level where they can feel they can make maps that are really useful for themselves and illustrate their own games and reference them, so to speak.
And you said one really resonant thing with me there, Anna. So you said functional.
Yes.
Because as you were talking, and you said, I didn't bother drawing the outside because no one cares about that. They're inside.
Yeah, exactly. It was not needed. So I mapped what was actually needed for each session. So
and that's a perfect strategy for a map. If anything, it's the purpose of a map, right? Maps are meant to be functional. So when you were describing now, it's like, okay, that's very functional. Then you actually said functional. And you know, the difference between, I think, you and I, in a delightful way, is I drew my maps almost not for my players. I drew my maps almost for wow factor.
Yeah,
and like,
but
damn,
I've got to that point. Now I do that. Yeah, now I world build way more than I run games. So I've gone full circle on that.
Going in this city or
exactly.
not.
Now I map every square feet of 1,000 square miles for my Shieldlands campaigns, and I know the players will never visit 90% of that map, but I still want to do it because it's so cool. Because I can. Yeah.
There's
this looks fantastic.
There's elevations all over this one.
Exactly. Tell us about this, Alyssa.
Yeah.
This looks fantastic.
This is so early on for me. This is the 80s.
Oh, wow.
I want to say it's not my first, but it's close to it. And how can you tell it's not my first? Can you see the join where I've done a photocopy?
Right there.
And laid it on top of the paper and then drawn on.
Yeah.
Right. So clearly the interior was my original, and then I've needed to draw alongside it.
Yeah.
It's not digital back then.
No, but this is fantasy ordnance survey map.
Right.
Brilliant.
So
that would be like
I have
the
got
Great
a goblin
Kingdom
to copy a map, and then I've started to go off
no,
on
but
that.
This will be like the Great Kingdom will send out their best cartographers to survey the land. They will make something like this. It looks fantastic to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, definitely not my first map I ever drew. I think we might see the first one I ever drew here shortly. But again, studying real world coastlines, I'd like to think I have a good grasp of an interesting and believable coastline right there. My mountains and hills, less so. My early style was very, heavy on the contour.
Blobby. Yeah, it looks a bit blobby. But
blobby is a good phrase.
Yeah, but that happens. Contour lines, and we need to talk about contour lines and why to use them and why not to use them, etc. Because that's one of the things they have a tendency of being blobby. That's in their nature, so to speak. So
do you know the glory of this one now? I mean, folks, it's a little creme de la creme. Look at the amount of felt tip on this bad boy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to retire right now. No one's going to put that amount of felt tip on a piece of paper.
Exactly. You already overdone it.
I think here, for some reason, I had this phase in my life when I drew on yellow paper, not white, yellow. And this is actually yellow paper that I was drawing on right here. And I don't know, it creates interesting colors.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And you get that kind of old vibe when I see the color scheme looks like it's 300 years. It looks fantasy. It looks
the
like
younger version of me is saying,
Yeah.
"Thank you, Anna. I really appreciate that."
No, but
the me version is going, "This is horrible. I don't know what I was thinking."
oh yes, but and that's the other thing.
Colorful.
Meaning, yeah, but you have to realize that the functionality of a
Yeah,
map and the
parchmenty.
beauty of
You're
the
right,
map are
Sven.
two different things.
Yeah.
And
Can I
some
give a
maps
shout out though? Can I give
Yeah,
a shout out
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
to the letter set rub-on?
Oh
freaking-
yes, that's where you got the. I thought you were calligrapher
Look at that
extraordinaire as
morass.
well.
Look close in on that morass. That's that old. Remember the big
Mhm.
parchment style,
Uh-huh.
and you'd rub the letters on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
My brain is saying letter set, but it's not letter set. It's something else.
Yeah, it's
That's
one
the
of these.
rub-on letters right there.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Pretty neat.
The problem was that you had to be sure because when you put them on, that was it, so to speak. You could,
Done. Oh no,
Yeah.
you're done.
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Alyssa, what is the oldest one I have in here in the folder? Is it? Do you know which one it is? I have City 12A, 12B.
Yeah.
Huma.
And I should have probably given you dates and proper names, but I'm too good for this.
Scroll
Are you
1,
kidding
2,
me
3.
right now? All right, let me
Goblin's
tell you
Teeth
exactly.
Ridge, Racina, Amber, Topek 1,
All right,
Oleaginous Western.
old map. Okay, so out of the old maps, well, we've got a few of those on yellow.
Thanks,
Humar.
Huma.
The Humar, I think, is the first map I ever did.
There we go. Okay.
That looks fantastic. Yeah.
I think that's the first map I ever drew.
Yeah.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll notice that the blue, well, the whole thing is almost done completely in felt tip, except I for some reason, I then went into pencils for the mountains. Still very blobby on the mountains. With this one, this is the first map I ever did. The blue is dark. It's very dark. And of course, like Anna, you said before, once you start, you're locked in. Right.
Yeah.
So the minute you go like this with a dark blue felt tip, it's like, oh, that's what you're doing now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's you can't erase it or anything. You just have to do it. So yeah.
So this is me experimenting with it. Again, I loved like the coastlines that I was able to do back then. It was a very remember the Copic pens that you get nowadays. We had the equivalent in England, very, very, very fine ink pens.
Yeah.
I did those for everything. I wish I still had black and white versions, but you got
and now I get so awesome because now I want to have a whole show talking about our ordnance survey style maps useful in the game and how would you use them and go about it. I want to have a whole show. Yeah, I have a whole show
up, which is great.
Exactly. Yes, this is awesome. So there's so many things that we need to delve deeper into because as a viewer, as a user or DM, you want to figure out what kind of maps works for you, what you like for your style of gaming and your style of what effort you want to do and so on and so forth. Are you the one that wants to plan for 6 months working on your masterpiece, or did you, like me in the beginning, you just sketch something in half an hour for each session so you have it, so to speak? Yeah.
Styler has
so with this map, like it's probably quite a bit of hours. The players, honestly, were in one town for the whole campaign.
And did you ever show this to the players?
Entire world, and they did one town.
Yeah,
one town.
And also, this was for like your reference, right? Yeah,
that's awesome.
But in fact, zoom in to the left there a little bit, where you got the little Hooky Peninsula thing, and I think you might see just some of these names. By the way, there's no internet back then, so for name inspiration.
You were limited and no
I
name
used
generators.
to pull out old books and just look at random random words and stuff. And I had a whole old atlas that I would pull out, and I would pull in like names from America or Africa, places that seemed distant.
A Rand McNally atlas of something was perfect inspiration. So
on this map, there's a heart guard. There's also a lot of inspiration from Pick Your Own Adventure Path. So Tolkaday was from an old adventure path. I stole that completely. But look near the top of there, it says Oakland. You know what map I was looking at when I picked up that name.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
but it's
Oakland sounds sexy. Let's
Yeah.
name it that."
Yep. It's
Alyssa, it can't be as bad as we have Applebee's in
oh yeah,
Greyhawk
and
somewhere.
Macaroon and stuff.
Okay,
So yeah,
it's
we have
not anywhere near as bad as
there's
those
some bad ones. So that is
oh.
even I even took out the worst ones from Living Greyhawk
Yeah.
that I didn't even put on the map.
Oh man!
And oh yeah, when I saw too many Berlin subway stations in Pearland, it was like no. I don't want U-Bahn something. That was like no way, that's not coming on the map. So yeah.
So we have a great question from Statler.
Okay.
Did you are there maps that you threw out or that you lost and that you wish you had at this point? Either
I haven't lost anything, I think, but there are things that I wish I'd lost in a way because it's so bad now looking at it. So and to be honest, there was a bunch of them I wanted to show on the show, but I didn't show in here. But I didn't because the names were so bad. Because there was just like Alyssa said. You have to realize when I started playing in Greyhawk, all I had was the Greyhawk box set. I didn't have anything more. And when they went off script, so to speak, I had to come up with places. And I lived in Western Sweden, and the library was kind of limited. It was a town of 5,000 people, and I was 15 years old and was 17, I think. And so that was kind of it was the names were bad. So the styling was the same as you've seen here, but I did 200 of them covering large part of it, and they are so bad when it comes to names. A few of them I'm going to reintroduce because I scanned them all now. I haven't looked at them for 30 years almost. So I'm going to reintroduce a few good ones on the map in the future. So yeah. So
I've got two stories then on this. One, a lost map. I do have a lost map, and one naming. So I'm naming ink on paper, right? Plus, I'm looking at a book for inspiration.
Yeah.
Or I'm looking around my bedroom, I swear. And there was one time, and I'd done this city map, and it was pretty kick-ass. I was really happy with it, a lot of labor. And I'm like looking around my bedroom, and I'm like, what am I going to name this area? Candle. And I wrote the word candle on this field. I'm like, candle? That's freaking stupid. What am I doing? Candle what? So it ended up being Candle Fields of Bavaria. And from that, I'm like, this is really stupid. What am I going to do with this? But I came up with the Will of the Wisps come here every 100 years. And they congregate for some unknown reason.
Awesome.
And I got this whole story idea from this terrible name.
Yeah, but now we know how possibly how Ed Greenwood came up with the name Candlekeep. Exactly, might have been same type of thinking.
Candlekeep, exactly. So a map I seriously lost. So actually, Lord Gazomba, can you bring up the work in progress city map, the Age of Antiquity?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
So the Age of Antiquity is my current project. I'm about to finish the ink work on it this coming weekend. If you zoom in a little bit on that, it's a monstrous map. There's a huge amount of lines on it.
So you draw all the lines and then you color it afterwards.
Yes.
Oh, that's a wonderful process. Yeah.
This is going to be once every 2 years or so, someone asks me to do a mega map. And this is this year's mega map. And so I did a map like this, but bigger when I was still in the late 80s. And I was at college, and my dad had some old rolled up newspaper, wallpaper, that he gave me. So you could roll it out like a scroll. And I filled, I swear, 5 feet with a map like this.
Yeah.
And I did it when I was at college.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what happened to it.
Oh, sad. Yeah.
The whole thing, I filled it. A mega city. It was the size of 4 cities. In fact, it was Heartgard. It was the city of Heartgard. And it had 4 districts with the interior districts of 5 in all. And I drew the whole thing. I have no idea where that thing went.
That's a shame.
So is there a map that I wish I still had? That one.
Yeah. And Statler 97 have a wonderful map and inspiration from old maps you can find in the National Geographic. Yes, especially when it comes to how to present maps. And I was going to have that as a example, if we talk about how to present maps, National Geographics have done wonders for map presentation, and they are, I would say, top of the field on presenting maps, isometric, top down, and do cool stuff. Oh yeah, perfect. That's a good. That's one of my very first digital maps, because in my work in the military, I saw cool rendered digital maps in the 80s, and I was like, I need this for my games. So in the early 90s, when Photoshop came out, and I used CorelDRAW, Color Photo Paint and stuff, and you got Bryce, that was one of the earliest terrain creating tools, and I was like, yeah, I need that. I went and bought a computer for $5,000 just to run the damn thing, and I kept doing it. And this is one of my first examples. This is a little village. I forgot where it was placed eventually, but it was one of the had the oldest time stamp, so to speak, and so that was one of the first one. And you can even see some little hills, and I painted in some trees and a road.
I'm assuming this is a keep right here.
Well, yeah, keep or little house for near the river there or something like that. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, something like that. So it's kind of, yeah, it's the story has gotten lost, so to speak, in the, but it's one of my very oldest maps that and you can see the roads have different width depending on if it's a road or if it's just a little trail and things like that. So yeah, so very, very basic, but it can serve the purpose. So you don't always have to make the perfect. Now I'm becoming a slave to perfectionism, but I'm trying to get around it, and we'll talk about that in the future show too. When we go to Alyssa and me can present what you do for your games, meaning prep for a game session map-wise. I think will be something that we need to start talking stuff.
One question that came up twice before we want to go on to actually what you define as a map. Do you prefer 2D or 3D? And I'm assuming you.
It depends on the purpose.
Both is okay.
Yeah, it depends on the purpose. Meaning, most of VTTs, for instance, today they are 2D.
2D, yeah.
And also when you do really long distance overland travel, 2D is to prefer, because you can measure things. You can measure distance and stuff much better on a 2D map. So try to do long overland journeys on a 3D map, and you can ask any pilot, soldier, hiker, whatever. No, don't do it. You want a top-down view so you can calculate things like that. But a 3D view is much better to get a hold of what the landscape look like. So you can plan an ambush. You can kind of tell the players, this is what the landscape looks like. This is what you see. What do you do, kind of thing. But that inspirational needs 3D tops 2D.
And here we go with recent 3Ds for Alyssa right here.
Yeah.
You know, so Alyssa, do you have a preference? I'm assuming you prefer 2D for the most part, because you said
I do, for all of the reasons that Anna just said. I find that I want to say that 3D maps almost go into an illustrative area, and there's a good reason to have that. But I think if you're trying to do an informative map in an illustrative manner, and you go too far to one side, it ends up being visually gorgeous, but communicates very poorly. Now, I think the block here works fine, and I think the Martin Bailey here work fine because they're very simple. So they're not really trying to communicate too much by way of layouts and distance and things like that. But if that's what I'm trying to do, then I'm going to go top down. I'm going to go 2D for that because it's much easier to understand distance, placement, size, layout, rotation. We've all seen it. We've seen 3D dungeon maps, and 3D dungeon maps they're the bomb, right?
Like
I mean, we all love them.
Ravenloft, it was the first.
Yeah, we adore them. Like, people will fall out their seats, upvote something because it's a 3D map and it looks good. But when you're trying to use it as a GM, it's like, well, I think this goes around the back, and they start to become a little harder to interpret. So my business tends to be one of making it easy for a GM of in any game system, understand where something is at in relationship to something else. And for that, top down is the way I prefer to go. Yeah.
3 quickie questions before we move on to topic here. when you play, do you provide cruder maps to your players so there's less detail on it? How much pre-planning do you do for fantasy map creation? And have you ever tried supplying your players with old-fashioned medieval strip maps?
Yeah, I can ask. I think that was a great question, and I want to do a whole bunch of versions if I have the time and the possibility to do it. And I want a DM version with everything, bells and whistles. Should look gorgeous. Should be a photoreal representation with all the details, all the secrets, all the labels, all the background info, etc. Blah blah blah, everything. And then you should be a quick DM version with all basically just the outlines, the basic numbers, the roads. I'm thinking like a big overland map, a kingdom, a province, or something like that. Then we have one with all the yummy details and all the text, and then you take away the satellite image, just have the distance in miles. You just have the details and no or like the information without any clutter. It looks more like a GPS map in your car or something like very simple that way. And then that's the DM full version, so to speak, for inspiration, for session planning and campaign planning and all that. And then I want an in-game handout version in case the players go to the big city and pay 100 gold to get like a map so they can use in game. So then I want the scribbly bit on a piece of parchment with more or less errors in it. That's another version. And then I want the VTT encounter map that I can put in Roll20 or Fantasy Grounds or All Bear Rodeo or something to put the tokens on. So I want at least 4 versions of the map to be a fully featured map, so to speak, for different purposes in my game. Then I rarely, if ever, get to do all these 4 versions, but that will be the kind of the extreme case. If I'm fully prepped, I will have all those versions, so to speak. One for game prep, one for DM during the game session with just the necessary information, and one map for the players to look at, and one for the VTT, so to speak, or put printed on the table or something, or project using a projector on the screen if you sit around the table.
You want to tackle that one, Alyssa?
By the way, fam, because you are fam at this point, this guy here, he's Deacon.
Oh.
You'll probably know the name Deacon. He will probably appear on the shows.
Oh, so we have Deacon and Minnie on the show. So
I had Leo come in, who's another black cat.
Okay,
and he was in and
we have
already.
Minnie's been on the Minnie's been to the vet today, and
Deacon loves to sit off my shoulder, just stare at me like the world is ending, and reach out his claws. So
awesome.
But so I probably have 2 to 3 maps, maybe, that I do. If I do 3, one of them is a battle scale map. I don't have the wonderful terrain that Lord Gasumba has, but I do draw maps. So sometimes I will draw a big, huge map that the players are going to be on, and I hide sections until they reveal it. I will have a GM map with all of the details and the secrets on it. And what I'm going to refer to as a prop, because I'm actually heavily into Call of Cthulhu. That's a passion of mine as a GM. And it's all about the props, baby. It's all about the props. And maps are a prop. So doing a player handout, something that looks like it was drawn in that era, something that maybe looks like it's on parchments. In fact, I even think I gave Lord Gasumba a couple of examples of burnt edges and coffee stains and stuff that I've done in the past.
Old ones,
I love doing that type of thing as a player handout.
Here we go.
Yeah, there's an example. That's a prop. That was a player handout.
Yep.
Perfect. And then we have scroll 2 and scroll. So we got 3 different sections of that castle.
Yeah, this was all done back in the early 90s here. Remember Curse of the Azure Bonds and that series of computer games?
We just had Jeff Grubb on Sunday night, who wrote Azure Bonds. and then the SSI game, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's ironic. Yes. What a wonderful SSI gold box.
I think the northeast, northwest parts of the castle was actually a wizard's castle, and I think it was the Azure Bonds. I converted it straight into a role-playing game, and I drew my own maps for it, and I aged them and everything, and pure English coffee stains right there.
That's awesome.
Oh, and of course, burn stains, because I used to get my mom's caca and cook things underneath the grill, and then invariably set things on fire, and there's there's pieces of paper flying around the kitchen, and my mom would run in and go,
Yep.
"What are you doing?" Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's a great example there, just showing that it doesn't have to be that detailed, but it's got a
No,
nice
it's
flair to
yep.
it, And
Mhm.
Tim,
Yep.
the ever mysterious Tim just popped on. He's good for doing this too.
Oh yeah,
When
he's done
he
fantastic
does
props and stuff. Yep.
great prop work too.
Yep.
So I know what do you consider a map to be, and differences between fantasy and real world?
Okay,
that
yeah.
seems to be a big,
Yeah, it
where
is,
does it
yeah.
cross that line? Where does it
Mhm.
change over? So
Yeah. So
what's
yeah,
this-
there's I try to drill down what the very basic definition of a map is, and to me, it's that you have a geospatial representation of some form of data. That's a map. If you have any form of data, that could be the crime rate or the economic output of a country or the world spread out in colors over the world, or it can be where a dragon lives or the density of orcs somewhere or whatever. And in any form of data somehow that is somehow kind of representation. I wanted to use visualization, but I realized not all maps need to be visualized. Some of them might even be tactile, that you need to feel them or stuff like that. So that might even be a map. So I want that's the very basic idea. But then you have the other continuum. What is a map and what is an illustration? You can gradually go from a map that could be pure technical drawing. Think about, and I have some examples we can.
Which one would you like to bring up? You can bring up one now. As we're talking
I
about,
put them in too late, so I'm going to put them into. I'm going to put them in Discord for you here. So
okay, hopefully I can pull them out without. So
they're small, they're tiny, they're tiny. So
I'll just
start
throw this
with
up
this
for
one.
now.
Yeah, start with this one, and
Okay.
that one in
no problem.
In Discord. So, and that's something we're all used to, so to speak. And people have seen, I've used this in other seminars. So some of you might already have seen this, but I think it's a real cool way of looking at it. So I'm going to put a bunch of them in here. So the first one that Jay can show up here is the classic Darlene map of the city of Greyhawk era, meaning it's classic fantasy map. It can't be any more classic than the Master Darlene doing the
yeah, I'm going to go as fast as I can for saving these and then putting these up.
And
so.
they are puny. They're only a couple of megabytes. So I'm sorry. We should have prepped. I could share it, but we do that for future shows. So
we're good.
We don't want to
jinx
it too much here. So
once
we don't
I got it starting here, we're good. So I'll get the Darlene one up in a second here. In a second. We don't want to.
That we have a good from the magnificent PAX. Does it matter where you start your map? Yes, I think it does matter, because it depends. If it's a planned map that you do a commission and you research it, then I don't think it matters much. But if you do it live while your players are looking and you draw a map on your that's the second one. So
I know the Darlene one disappeared on me somehow. So I'm throwing the second one up because it's up right now. So you put
I'm
gonna put that one up for now. I'm gonna find the Darlene.
Okay, we all see the Darlene one, and imagine if you wanted to take your car and you want to go on vacation, and Rand McNally would doing the Greyhawk area map of the area of Greyhawk, it will look something like this. And meaning you can present the same type of data in a very different way, so to speak. So this is the Greyhawk city of Greyhawk area in Rand McNally style. What you get is you get the roads, you get to know where the forests are basically, and you get to know where the coastlines are, and you get to know that the quality of the roads are very important, and the numbering and stuff like that. So that's very important. But imagine if you're a pilot and you want to fly over the Greyhawk area and you want to land there and you want to. So from a pilot's perspective, you have the next map that is very weird. I do
have it, and yes. Yep. And it's testing me. And it's testing my capabilities tonight, which is good. There we go. Boom. Okay.
Yeah, and there you have the same area from a pilot's perspective, and all you want to know is where the airfields are, and you want to know the airspace. Meaning, and this is kind of fun. I made it fun. You can tell what dragon area, you have like you have one of these danger areas where dragons roam, and you have there's a bunch of stuff, and you can tell who regulates the airspace and stuff like that. And the outline of the country and of the near div is just one little line, because you just need to know where land is and where water is, and it's barely that, so to speak. And you can Selene is an exclusion zone, because I don't want anyone flying in over with their dragons in over Selene. So maps can look very different. You present a slightly different subset of data in a different style, and you get a map that for a very different purpose. And then I had then the example of my regular Flanese map that for DMs to prep, so to speak. You want to know what the landscape look like, and you want the whole shebang. You want basically all the details, so you can sit and pore over it and plan your escapades in future.
And this is what we know as the base Animap here now.
Yeah. So
you
you can kind of you can think of it, and for hikers use a different type of maps that pilots do. You use a different type of map when you in your GPS in your car, because you want only the very basic information, because you want to look at the road and don't want to look at the map, and you don't want to be inspired. And that's, I think, is the essence between real world mapping and fantasy mapping. Real world mapping is about reducing detail, to get rid of as much clutter as possible, and to just put the very essence, meaning a hiking map or a GPS map. You want the minimum amount of detail just to get the job done, nothing else. And then a fantasy map is often the opposite. You want to add lots of stuff, and you want to inspire as much as inform. You want people to be inspired. You want, as a DM, you want inspiration. As someone who's buying a game setting, you want to have something that oohs and ahs you a lot, so to speak. But you don't want that out of your GPS map, or when you go to a hospital and you want to find your way to that ward. You don't want to be inspired to do it. You just want to get the very basic info of the layout of the hospital. So those are fantasy maps, I think. And then the obvious is that the real world doesn't exist. It doesn't depict the real world, which means it's kind of requires a different way of creating the map. But I think that the essence is that you add stuff to a fantasy map, but in real world you kind of remove clutter and what you don't need, so to speak.
So, Anna, Alyssa, your take on that question, and if you want me to bring up any of your specifics.
Anna definitely uses words that are way more scientific than mine, but I think she and I are about to say the same thing, because I want to say that a map has an audience and it has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to pick on a mall map as an example, MALL, mall. What is the purpose of that map, and who is the audience? The audience are people in the mall. Right. Why are they looking at it? What is the purpose of this map? They need to know where they're at, because they're probably lost, and they're trying to find a store. Anything else is superfluous, or the restroom. Exactly, right? And the main ways of getting up and down, right? How do I get from where I'm at to where I want to be? There's nothing else. They're not drawing little plants and waterfalls and carts and shit. No, that's not what this is about. And that's what Anna's talking about here. It's like, who is our audience? When she says, and this is an audience, the audience is for pilots. That's very, very, very different. So I just sent you, just to be an arsehole to you, Lord Gasson, I just sent you a Roman map, and then we'll take a look at the topography stuff.
Yeah, but while you're looking for that, I want to, because I totally agree with you. And there's one, and you have, but there are examples of map that are based on inspiration in the real world too, especially when you go to like a zoo or a theme park, because
100%. I mean, I was looking at some tourist maps of London the other day.
Exactly, they want to have you in the zoo or the theme park or something similar as long as possible. They don't want to, and they want to obscure things like there is a mile walk across that hill to go to the elephants or the lions or something, and so they kind of, what they do is that they obscure boring stuff like that and show cute elephants and lions and stuff like that. So they want to take away silly stuff like that, how far you have to walk in order to get you to all the yummy ice cream and the cute lions and all that, so to speak. So
well, and
so
then they draw those attractions in
Mhm.
3D too, right?
Exactly.
They've
Yes.
got
So
the little lion den and the
Mhm.
elephants and
Yep.
the ice cream
Yep.
stall,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
that's, I mean, who is our audience? What do we want them to know?
Yeah, and that's
It's
a trick.
here. Don't worry about the distance.
Exactly, and those tricks are things that publishers ask us to do in fantasy mapping all the time, and it's also something you should start thinking about. What kind of style and tricks do you want to use for your players or for your own inspiration and stuff, in order to memorize things like landmarks, points of interest? What do that wizard's tower look like and stuff like that? You can draw that isometric, and that's on tourist maps. They often had point of interest as little illustrations on the map. Was very, very popular back in the day.
Yeah, that Roman map is not letting me pop it up on my screen. I don't know if it's
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
So and we don't need to worry about that too much. I mean,
Yeah.
the purpose of that particular Roman map is
Hmm.
the audience was obviously travelers across the
Sorry
Roman
about that.
Empire.
Okay.
And if you actually look at it, it's like everything's been flattened. It's all about the roads.
Yeah.
And because the roads aren't even going in like north, south, east, west directions. They don't even match necessarily the directions that they went in real life, because that's not what it's about. It's about get on this road
Mhm.
and follow it, and you will end up over here in this other settlement. Then from that other settlement, you have 3 other roads. Pick one of them, and you'll go here or here or here. And the whole thing is, it's way more like, honestly, like the London Underground map or the New York Underground map.
Yep.
It's like, it's not following necessarily the actual route where the rail's at. It's like, just get on the blue line.
Mhm.
You'll get through this stop and this stop. And that's what I love about that. It's really, it's understanding who our audience is and what we're trying to communicate to them.
Yep.
And then when it comes to fantasy maps, I think that's where the rules start to deviate,
Mhm.
because part of a fantasy map becomes our audience are players, and we want them to love this map.
Mhm.
And that's obviously getting into something a little bit
Yeah.
different.
And I think Gribbly has a perfect point when he said fantasy maps also have to serve the function of showing reality, which real maps don't have to. And that's the key point, meaning in fantasy mapping, you have to show and present something that is not there. But a real map is usually how to find your way through reality. A fantasy map is to explain and show what reality looks like. That's why I love to have a lot of photoreal stuff in my maps, because I need to show that to my players, and I need to convince myself what the place looks like, so I can kind of fill the details.
Let's do a test.
Mhm.
Let's see if Alyssa can share that. If I go to that other screen, that road.
Oh, yes.
Holy
Yeah.
smoke.
That's a
Now
great
We're gonna do a
test.
test here.
That's a great test. Yep.
Boom.
All right. Well,
let's-
I am gonna do this.
Yep. There's going to be a test here. Yep.
Here
There's gonna
comes
be
a test.
Oh,
Yep.
actually. Yeah. Hold on a sec, Emo.
Oh, that's
he's
I've
trying
only-
to catch me out.
I have all
Yeah,
these
this
tricks
is
set up,
awesome.
everyone.
Meaning you found that Roman map somewhere, and now you can't find
There
it
we
again.
go.
There you
Oh, look, it did
Perfect.
work.
There you
Okay.
go.
It's
Yeah.
not
Did
super-
I just do a thing?
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, you did a thing. Perfect.
that works.
Yep. You did the thing.
Uh,
Yep.
So
Yes.
this is what I'm talking about, and you know, you I mean, you can see that the roads they're really just going left to right for the most part.
Mhm.
Maybe some of them are doing a diagonal, but
Yeah.
this is a genuine Roman map of the period, and this is all about if you are at Praetorium, you have 2 roads. If you leave this road, you're going to end up over here, and if you leave the other road, you're going to end up over there. And that's what it's all about. It's like
It's
on
a
this
Rand
road.
McNally Roman version, so to speak. So
Yeah. It's like you will end up at this other settlement over here. And I honestly, when I first saw this, I was like, this is oversimplified. But if you actually look at it, it's like, no, this actually makes sense.
Oh yeah,
Because-
it's fantastic, and it's also some sort of pseudo isometric view in a way. It kind of.
No, totally. And what I love about this is, yes, of course they're showing the coastline here, but it's not about the coastline, because our travelers here are not on boats or ships. They're on the road. They're following the road.
Mhm.
There's no mountains here. I think there might be one mountain.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no,
but yeah.
there's no forestry.
You have a set of hills that goes straight across. I bet that I'm not sure that is hills, but it kind of looks
It
like
kind
it.
of looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But this is all about just if you're trying to get from A to B,
Mhm.
get on this road.
Yep.
That's all you have to worry
And
about.
they probably had road markers, milestones and stuff back then too. So you could probably
Oh yeah.
you can read the name of the road and then you can actually see that on one of the milestones. So yeah.
It's very cool. All right, well, I am excited that actually worked. So I go back
Yes.
to this
Awesome.
one,
Yep.
and I'll go to this one where
Fantastic.
we're
So, yeah,
sharing
now we
here.
can
If
do
the
those.
audience only knew the pain that we went through, so I
Oh
could do
yes.
that.
Yep. Mhm. Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited that works well.
Mhm.
So types, I went over a couple there, and
Yep.
do you each have like a type that you love to do besides, like, is it maybe city, overland, or you like to do dungeons at once? What kind of types?
For
of,
me, it's the big
the
picture,
monster,
meaning
yeah.
the large area maps, so to speak, kingdoms, whole parts of the world, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I love to do. Yeah,
Okay.
to present the landscape, like setting maps have been my
Well,
specialty.
and we know
but-
that for we absolutely
Yeah.
all know that as
Yep.
everyone
But
knows.
I'm starting to do village maps and stuff, and love to dig into village and
Oi,
city maps.
no.
I'm getting there. I'm getting
No.
dangerous in 10 years or so.
Get out of my turf.
I was going to say in 10 years I will be, or in 5 years I will be where you are now. So yeah, so don't worry about it. You'll be way ahead of me. Yep.
Yeah, it says we have an atlas map here. We know that Anna has that huge atlas area,
Yep.
and everyone knows how spoiled I am by Anna that I can get custom edits to this map for my campaign.
Well, you let me have intros like this, so you pay for it. So yep.
Yeah.
And you also one of my patrons. That's one of the key, because I do that, or at about half a dozen patrons now have that service. So yeah.
And it makes a whole bit of difference. So when I load up a game and I have an entry screen, I have the map of the area where they're playing in Greyhawk blown up, snipped and then blown up with all my
Yeah.
custom edits on it, and it makes a whole bit of difference in the game.
Yeah.
It gives that depth, it gives it that flavor. It's like,
But
wow.
anyone can actually do this,
Right.
because the source file for this map, the Illustrator file I'm using, is actually on my website. Anyone can download it from my Dropbox and fire up
do those
Illustrator
changes.
and
Yeah.
do it themselves, so to speak. So and
Alyssa,
all the styles and stuff are in there.
what's your go-to city, Alyssa, or do you have?
Actually, so the question was favorite style, right?
Yeah.
And 90% of the time, I'm asked to draw city maps, and I do genuinely love doing them. But the style I actually prefer to do. Can you bring up two different ones?
Sure.
Bring up the Old Countries Complete for me.
Yep, right here. There you go.
Oh yes.
Okay.
You should do more of these. They are fantastic.
So this is my Overland style, or
Mhm.
one of 3 styles,
Mhm.
and this
They
is
are
probably
gorgeous.
one of my favorite styles to do. And I
Mhm.
don't do that many Overland ones. But if someone says, Anna, you know what this is like. So you do a lot of Greyhawk maps, or so rumor has it,
Mhm.
and you probably most of the time you're overland, right? Depending on the scale, you're mostly
Yep.
overland. You don't do dungeon maps for the most part. You don't do city maps for the most part. But how many times does someone come to you and say, "Oh, I love that region map you did. Can you draw me a city?"
Yeah,
I get that
yeah.
too.
Mhm.
I get
Yep.
that. So it's like, "Oh, I love that city map you did for Jeff D.
Mhm.
Will you do me an overland?" And
Yep.
this is a style that I ended up developing to address that.
Mhm.
It's the only I can say it's Lord of the Rings, because it's not really isometric. It's a little bit like bird's eye view. I like doing this. I don't get asked
Yeah.
for it too often, maybe once a year.
Mhm.
Okay. And you had
Yep.
you said you had a second one you wanted me to bring up.
Yeah, the second one is Brickshire,
Yep.
the
absolutely.
colored version.
Okay.
This.
There we go.
And this is probably as close as I get to in the Anna Meyer world here.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's fantastic. And I
Top
love how you
down.
do the hill shading is really cool. It's yeah, you use some of that same technique as Mike Schley, but you outline it a little bit, but then you shading it really beautiful as well. So
Mike
it's
Schley has been very inspirational to me. I used to look at his artwork a
yeah,
lot.
but you taken part of his technique, and then you developed gone in a different direction than he has.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I took my 1990s me. Slay came along. I kind of combined the two, and this is the result. I love doing this style. I get asked for it very rarely.
Oh yeah, I can totally get that.
It looks lovely. I want to do more of this. I don't get asked for it much because everyone says, "Oh no, do the isometric style. It's so much better." But I'm like, yeah, but this is beautiful. Add some little clouds. It looks like you're in
I was just going to say,
something.
how did you came up with the idea of putting clouds there? Because it's kind of awesome and irritating at the same time because it shields something, but it makes it look so real.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Like honestly, everyone loves my clouds. So we're added into some early colored versions of my city maps where you could cover some things and it was fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, Anna, between you and I, and everyone that's watching, but let's ignore that for a moment. Between you and I hate putting labels and clouds on my maps.
Okay.
Yeah. Labels are a pain because they clutter up things. So yeah, I totally agree. Labels are difficult. So
they cover up things, and you've got to do it sometimes. And so I will do little labels if I can. But the bigger the label, the more it covers up, and clouds fall into this, the more I start to go. But this one I could get away with it because they're not covering up anything really of note, and it just adds to the artistic aspect to it. So I'm okay with it on this style.
It's cool. So was this a commission for a book or for
actually this was for Post World Games Jim Pinto. I think the company's just Post World Games. He's a very talented game designer actually that does not get the credit that he deserves, and this is for a game setting called King for a Day.
Okay.
And I ended up doing quite a few maps for that piece. And he relaunched it actually in the last couple of years because I redid some of the maps and colored them and so on and so forth. It's honestly, it's a great thing. It's completely systemless. It's an entire valley. It's got all of the NPCs and the settlements done. And I think if I'm going to toot my own horn for a moment, I love this map. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
and yet it's people gloss over it so quickly.
Yeah, and I love this map too. It's so beautiful. It's cute, beautiful, illustrative, and just fantasy. All of it, so to speak. And I love the clouds because they add character to it. And this map has, just like a lot of my maps, even if they might be beautiful, they lack character in a way, and your maps oozes character, and it's kind of really cool. It's not to degrade my own maps because I think they are in their own right kind of awesome in some of them, but they lack that fantasy-esque character. And sometimes I really want to have it. Sometimes I just want all the raw info, period, so to speak. But I've done one map with clouds on it. I made a version that I called True Worth, and I just posted it once and I didn't get a good response, so I haven't done any future works, but I can share my screen. We can see if that works, and set that up and see.
Here we go. Let me hit the right button first here, and boom.
While you're doing that, I added clouds to mine. Some of my early stuff, really just because to add character. And then I did a map pack for Pro Fantasy, and they were like, "Don't forget, put in some of your famous clouds." I'm like, "Oh, clouds are a thing, apparently." So now I occasionally throw them in just because apparently that's expected.
So I looked at real photos from space, so to speak, and I realized what would and this I took high folk and the areas around Yattils and stuff because I wanted to. So I basically tweaked it, and this is all Photoshop afterwards, so to speak. So there's no real 3D in it, and I just walked around, and this is 1 hour of testing, and that was kind of cool. It was like, if I can do this in 1 hour, I can make make it look real good, so to speak. But the problem is that the underlying terrain is not good enough for this type of work, but it's the next generation will be. So then we can get true satellite image over Earth, so to speak. So it's kind of the test to get to see. But and I can actually, you can automate this process in using GIS technology. But that's something for a future show we need to dig into when we have more examples. But that's one of my few maps that actually could put clouds. Well, there are clouds on my Greyhawk map too, and Len Lakofka hated some of them. So that was one of the
Len test.
Yes, the Len test.
There was always the Len test.
Yeah. Now you can
I think
switch
to a
back
degree,
again if you.
It's got to be about scale, right, Anna? And like,
yeah.
I can imagine, like, if you got a lot of cloud on a scale like this, you are inevitably going to cover something up. And as an artist, that's going to rub you the wrong way.
Oh yeah. This was more to see if I can take the existing Greyhawk map and actually make it look like a satellite picture. And I realized it was not too bad for being a quick and dirty job. And now you realize something, that I do a lot of this kind of quick tweaking, so to speak, a lot of thinking, and then I want things done, so to speak. I want to be efficient, and because the process takes so long, and that's one of the problems with my style, is that it takes a long time, takes a lot of planning. So that's why when I do my adventures, I do a lot of the seat of the pants mapping, so to speak, and that's something we should talk about. Should we switch back again? So
sure.
Yeah.
Hit the right button, Jay. Hit the right button. I'm talking to myself. Sorry.
No problem.
There we go. So how, I know this question is going to take a little while. How do you get to where you are now? Right? How do you level up your skill?
Yeah.
You know, you've gotten to this point, and we showed some older maps, and we're showing some really cool new stuff now. What do you do?
Alyssa, how did you get where you are?
Yes.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, okay, this is somewhat of a trope, and I hate to be the one that's going to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do it a lot. Whether you're working digitally, whether you're doing something like Anna Meyer is doing, whether you're hand drawing something, do it over and over and over, and be willing to make mistakes, and be willing to have an open heart and open mind to look at your own work and say, yeah, but I want to evolve. I want to evolve. I want to get better each time. Like, we looked at some of my earlier pieces from 20 plus years ago, and there are elements that I have brought forward. And there are elements, honestly, where I looked at it one day, I don't like that. I'm going to try something different. And trying something different and continually trying to evolve all of the time is definitely part of it. You have, it's like, I used to be a programmer, a software programmer, and I had the same mentality. I never, ever said that I was a good programmer, and I actually used to be a damn good one. But it's like I always constantly wanted to be a better programmer. So I think you've got to be the same when you're a cartographer.
Yeah.
And that, as long as you have that open mind and open heart, you will honestly look at other people's work or real life examples or illustrations and say, I like that. I want to try something like that, and onboard it, because you're constantly then evolving. For me, it's been a 30-year or something like that journey, and 10 years of it also professionally, true professional. And it's been, but even right back then, I would draw, like, even drawing castles. I'm terrible at drawing castles. I love castles. I'm terrible at them. So I'm always looking to get better and better and better, and finding my voice in the work, and realizing what I'm doing well, and keeping that while getting rid of the others and moving on. Anna?
Yeah, I agree with everything, and I simply keep doing it. And for me, it was like having a vision, what I wanted to do, meaning 30 years ago, or when I've had the box set and seen the Darlene map for 3-4 years, I dreamt of and seen examples of digital maps. I dreamt of having something like the Greyhawk map, and it took me 25 years from then or something to make it a reality. And now 10 years into that process, like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I knew, okay, this is not my end goal. Now I want to do it all over again and do it better. And the Midgard map here is half a generation newer, so to speak. It's twice as good. The terrain is twice as good as the Greyhawk one. And now I want to start all over again and do Greyhawk again with the cutting edge technology, and to make it even better, and to present what the Flannies in my concept of it, so to speak, actually looks like. So it's kind of, I want to and just raise the bar constantly, and like you said, listen to your critiques, but don't let the critique get to you too much, but you have to listen to it, because my quality assurance team, both from the content standpoint, meaning to get the things in the right spot, but also stylistic, they will tell you what, so listen to them. And so have a vision, work hard at it, and listen and be inspired, and think outside the box. And always realize that maps are more than a pretty picture. Even if a lot of publishers and others don't understand the difference, you as a cartographer need to understand the usefulness of a map needs to be good. Not only it needs to look good, yes, especially if you want someone to pay you for it, it needs to look good, but it also needs to be useful. And that's where you need to start using your own maps, and you need to ask others how they're using it, and you just need to, and keep at it. No one gets, well, there's probably some wonder kid somewhere who gets good at this in a couple of years, but I don't think so. I think all good cartographers are been at this for a decade or more. It takes that, and you need to understand the real world in order to, you need to know what real worlds look like. But it's like, I see published maps, they don't even understand how rivers flow, and they don't even get it, and stuff. So when you don't even understand how the real world works on a fundamental level, meaning how geography works, kind of, then you're not a good cartographer. And so it's you need to have, it's because cartography had this weird thing of being a technical endeavor on one side, and then an artistic endeavor on the other side, and then you need to somehow find where you want to be on that continuum, so to speak, and then experiment. Sometimes you're out here, sometimes you're there, and different maps require different handiwork and different craft.
I've actually got a few recent maps where I've screwed up the coloring because I tried something and I thought it was going to work and it didn't. And that's okay. Just live, learn, shrug, move on. It's even less about the outside critics, I find. It's more about the inner critic, right?
Oh yes,
but that one is yourself.
Yeah, but you never said, I'm never satisfied with my work. I can be like, oh, that was good work, but I always realize I can do better afterwards. So,
I've actually, I've got a small video series that I've been working on where I critique my own work. I dig up the maps from the 90s and the early 2000s. And I don't even dare to do that. I look at my own work and I say, well, this is good. This is what I've continued to evolve. This is bad. Let me tell you why I dropped this as a style. So I'm kind of putting voice to my own critique of myself, if that makes sense. And I think you just be willing to do that. And don't expect perfection, and don't get overwhelmed. When Anna says, learn the real world, she's right. But you're not going to know about the movements of tectonic plates and weather patterns. Don't worry about it. There's a scale of what you need to know to begin with, and just evolve.
And learn as much so to inspire you at first, and then you learn more as needed. And this is like eating an elephant. You do it one piece at a time. That's the other key thing, and it takes a long time to figure it out, so to speak. So and realize that I work with software that's taken me 10 years to figure out, and so it's a long, when you really want to go deep. And the other problem is that sometimes we have a vision and you want to do something, and there's no one else who've done it. And meaning, when I want to take 3D tools that are made for video games and Hollywood movies and stuff to do terrain for backdrop and matte painting and video games, and I want to do a game setting, it was not meant to do it, so I had to kind of tweak it. So yeah, no eating elephants. No, but and also I involved elephants and pancakes this week in map making, and that's the other kind of fun bit. But yeah.
So let's do some general Q&A here. You know, we're
Yeah.
an hour and a half in already. Imagine how
Yeah.
that's how quick the time has gone by.
Yeah.
So and you saw Biggie Paul's question there, Alyssa. What's the most difficult map you've ever made?
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good one.
I'm going to answer that in 2 parts because that's apparently the way I work. And the more shows we do like this, you're going to find I give you 2 answers when you ask for 1.
Mhm.
And I'm going to do it in 2 parts because actually the most difficult map I ever made historically was a map I did for Whisper and Venom and Zach Glazar, who now is a chief operating officer, manager of Troll Games. Troll Lord? Frog God Games.
Frog God. Yeah.
And he asked me for an overland map. It was done in the style of the old countries that you just saw right there.
Oh,
And he was the first person that ever contacted me to draw this style.
This style.
Not that
Okay.
style.
Oh, not that style.
Bring
This
up
style.
the old countries. No, old countries.
Old
Bring
countries.
up the old
Got
countries.
it.
It's a semi-isometric bird's eye view, Lord of the Rings. Homing on the trees there a little bit at the top is a little bit more green. Old countries went way out there. That was for Timothy Brown, the guy from Dark Sun. So that was a project. But Zach Glazar, he asked me for this overland map. He gave me a sketch. Thank you, publisher, for giving me a sketch. That's always appreciated.
Yep.
But I've never done this style, ever. And I drew something for him. And he is the only client that pushed it back across the table and said, this is good, but give me better. Give me beyond what you're currently capable of doing.
Wow.
And he almost used words like that. He was like, I don't care what it costs. Give me a wow piece. And I was like, oh, this is different. This is a different level. And I went nuts. And this style kind of got born from that. Actually, Zach Glazar, if I'm going to be fair, broke the ceiling for me. He forced me to go beyond it.
That's
and
awesome. Yeah.
it was a challenge, but it also it changed everything that I do.
Mhm.
The hardest map though that I'm ever going to do career to date is actually going to be later this year, because I've been asked to draw a Drow city underground.
Is that the one that Anna, that you were asked about?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Nope.
I knew there was a tough one.
Yep.
It was going to take a lot of time. Wow, an underground Drow city.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's going to be difficult because I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it 3D, and
Wow.
I don't do 3D that much.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is going to be raising the bar for myself here, without a doubt. But I've
Cool.
already
That's
kind
awesome.
of decided that it needs it, because I mean, I've done a city like underground. Lord Gasumba, you don't have a copy of it, but I will give you one.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't really portray buildings going up a spire, up a stalagmite of a
And
gigantic
underground
size.
city sounds twice as difficult that way.
And bridges in between and things. That's
and
just
you have
where
a
my
ceiling.
brain's
How
going.
do you portray that?
Ceiling?
Yeah.
So I'm going to draw that 3D, and it will probably be the
Yeah.
toughest map I've ever done ever.
Yeah.
And that will be the one. So later this year, I'll start working on it.
Yeah. My most difficult one was Brilliant East for Midgard. It's not published yet. I did it 2 years ago, and there you see how long it takes. That was something I started 3 years ago. I did it 2 years ago. And I started 3 years ago. It was finished like a year and a half ago or something like that. And then I can talk about it a little bit. I can't show it yet because it's not being published yet. But I can talk about it because the project has been announced. They know it's coming. So I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. So sooner or later, I hope. And so I did. And my problem was that I fell into a trap of my own making. That map became the most difficult one I've ever done. The problem was that I had provided a sketch of the area to them. And when you provide a sketch, it's a sketch, meaning things were not absolutely in proportion and stuff. But the problem is that some of the authors and stuff, they started taking a ruler to it and started to say, this is whatever, and that didn't make sense from any perspective, so to speak. So halfway through, or what have in, we have I didn't thought about that way, and I thought this was that was terrible. So halfway in, I had to redo large part of it, and we sorted it out. But I was real pissed and angry. So I needed another friend, Linda Booth. Thank you so much for taking my call and hearing me gripe for 3 hours after some meetings, and then go back and rework 3 months of the stuff. And this is another thing. 2 of the projects, Southlands, that I did for Midgard, I asked for a year. When I was 7 months into the project, I realized this is not good enough. I started over again, started from scratch, and worked 60-hour weeks for 3 months and did it all again. And I'm so happy that I did, because the first one, the Kobold Press and Wolfgang, they liked the first one, but I didn't. So I didn't even tell them. I just skipped it, worked like crazy, and then presented a new one. I actually kept the fake one updated a bit so I can hide the true one, because I wanted to do it in secret and then present it. So sometimes you have to take risks in order to really go out on a limb. And that broke, for me, that broke a new, because I did the old first version of Southlands basically like I did the Flanagan's map. And that was like, no, I did that 20 years ago. That doesn't cut it. So then I went back again and redid it and learned and did it. And that became the staple of how I've done Midgard maps ever since. So it's really, yeah. So sometimes you just, things don't work all the time, and you end up in these kind of, one-way streets where you've gone the wrong way, and you just have to back out again. Yeah.
It's a great question. Here's one that's technical that Troy Cannibal asks. What would you? I guess Alyssa, this is, well, it could be both here. What would you say is the next upgrade to go from a Wacom small tablet to drawing pen display graphic monitor?
An upgrade,
Yeah.
a bigger one.
A big.
I have to. Well, so it depends what. I mean, so if you've got the tablet, which is detached from the screen, so you're kind of drawing over here, but you're looking up here. That's fine. That works very well. I have the Cintiq 24-inch HD Touch, where my monitor is the tablet.
Oh wow!
And so where my pen goes, I'm literally drawing on the monitor, so to speak. And so it's a direct feel. You have that very pen on paper touch. There's no brain disconnect. And I know you can figure out that disconnect and you can get used to it, but there's nothing quite like taking your monitor, which I used to play Borderlands 3 on, lying it flat and drawing directly on it. And you can pinch zoom and do all of them, the gestures, but you're drawing it right there. That for me blew the lid off things. And it made me a better cartographer. And honestly, while Wacom is expensive, they are, and there are some Chinese versions that definitely are a third of the price, which I would heavily consider. I really would.
They are getting good. So
they're getting really good.
Yeah.
But if I was going to upgrade, I would just get a bigger version of this Wacom, and I'd probably get their 32-inch version in ultra.
I have to ask roughly how much that 32-inch Wacom would cost. Roughly.
Oh, I think it's like $3,000. Something like that.
Yeah, they're expensive. Yeah.
It's doable.
Yeah,
it's doable,
it's not
but
10,000.
It's not just like throwing away $500. God, what is the name of the Chinese company that do these things?
Huon, I think Huon is one. Huon is one of them. I think.
Huon. Like Huon will do one for $800, and it will be $3,000 Wacom.
And the hardware is good. It's usually the driver support in various tools and stuff that might be a bit iffy.
Although Wacom is not that good with their drivers.
No, sometimes they're. And I have a. Yeah, I have one of these Intuos. I have 2 Wacom devices. Actually, 2. So I have one that.
You're going to tell me now that you have 3 Wacom 32 inches.
No. I have a 16.
And you do your flying on them.
No. I have. Well, that's the other thing. I have 4 screens, and one of them is a Wacom 16-inch that you can draw on. And then I have one of these separate little Wacom tablets that I sit back. And which one I prefer depends on what I'm doing. Most of the times when I'm working on texture stuff, I love to lean back and just use that brain disconnect and try to get over it, because I don't need that much precision. But sometimes when I'm working on maps for my next game and I want to draw little buildings and stuff like that for my village map, then I love to dig in and do look at the map and use the pen on the screen, so to speak. So that's, but I can't do that for long because I'm hunched over and my back goes bad if I do that for more than an hour.
Apparently, I've just got used to my back not having nerves or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. So the Wacom, I will say, and maybe this will be a subject for a future stream too. The difference between Wacom and Huon, from what I can tell, is Huon does not have gestures. It does not have touch on it. And I think you could train yourself not to have it. But
I'd never use touch. I don't want
if
my
you never
fingers
use touch, you don't care.
Exactly.
I use touch all of the time, so
I don't even want that to do. And I have touch on both of them devices, but I make sure that I turn it off, and it turns on, and all things happen when I put my fingers on it. I get like ooh, and I want to turn it off. So I don't like that at all. I want mouse
would hate
and
me.
pen.
I'm doing it.
Oh no. Oh, so no, not for me. Yeah.
Interesting question that we got that technically. It's good.
Great
It's
question.
good to see that's and Troy is one of our ardent supporters here, which is great to see. I know he's doing a lot of work in the Cannon Fire community, especially with underwater maps. He's been doing. He's been doing a lot of that. So, what do you think? All right, this is going to be a very general question. What is your next goal in your overall development? Like where you want to go next with what you're doing cartography wise? Is it new type of map or just a new type of something you've learned for both of you?
For me, it's GIS, geographical information systems. I want to level up and start. So I have two main goals to reach in my career next. So next couple of years, I want to be able to master geographical information system. I've studied it for 5-6 years. So I'm starting to feel like I'm into it, but I want to be real good at it, and I want to develop the style part of it. And there's so many cool things you can do with GIS. So that is the technology I want to put in. And after that is game engines. That's where I want that's the ultimate goal. So those are two gigantic hurdles to get over, so to speak. It's one you normally have to go to somewhere and get a degree in order to learn it. So I'm trying to learn it on my own, so to speak, and to get there. So I've been a heavy user of GIS, so I know what it is from the user perspective. Now I have to be a producer of it, and I need to learn that way. And GIS is fairly straightforward if you have the data real world. The problem is here you need to produce the data in order to create the maps, and that bit is much more esoteric, because 90% of people that use GIS, they are users of real data and stuff like that from the real world. And the map, the real world is there, you just import the data and then you make something cool looking in GIS. The problem is that creating the world data to put in, and that's the most difficult.
You mean like this?
Yeah, that's the base data to put in, and then you can take that on a global scale. And the cool thing with GIS is you can restyle it, you can rescale it, you can do all sorts of tweaks with it on the fly. And it's also, people can import the data into all sorts of other tools, Google Earth, all sorts of cool things. You can have web-based maps, you can have mobile maps, you can do all sorts of things, because it's basically something that the end user can reshape and restyle as needed, so to speak. So the end goal with that was basically just have a geographical information server sitting somewhere where people can just download whatever type of data they want and present it, and then make an app for it. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
How Alyssa, what would you like to say?
I'm going to answer that question, but because it's topical. Cannibal says ArcGIS Desktop or ArcGIS Pro.
Okay. Yeah, I want to go with QGIS first, but I'm studying to see which tool. I will probably use both ArcGIS Pro and QGIS, both of them, I think, down the line. But I want to do as much as possible using QGIS, because I want all the stuff to be usable. I want someone else to take what I do and convert it and tweak it for their own campaigns. That's one of the goals with this. So I want to use open tools and open source tools as much as possible. So that way, but there might be, I might make sure that all the data is packaged and stuff so you can be used in QGIS. And then I might use ArcGIS desktop or something to make cool versions for print and stuff. That is probably going to be the case down the line. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to sound like a right arsehole compared to you.
Uh-oh.
Well,
I don't think so.
No. So, you're being very, I want to use this technology. I want to create sort of game things. I want people to be able to take this and I want to empower them. So, me, my next level. So the map actually that's up right now that Lord Gusumba's got shared was Catalal for Jeff D.
Yeah, and it looks so great.
I love doing this map. It was maybe the second map I did with my Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
But the thing about this map is it's based in Techumel. Techumel is something, it's a little bit like Greyhawk in some ways, right? It's canon. It's got its followers. You have to get it right. Yeah. Yep. And there's a temple in this area that actually had a scenario that had the temple drawn in it. And I had to match that temple, right?
Yeah. But now you're talking, we Greyhawkers, we know exactly what you're talking about. Because we know what it looks like and what it should look like. Yeah.
For me, this was my first taste. It's very topical, actually, Gusumba, that you had this up. For me, this was my first taste of drawing something. How can I phrase this? That was almost, you're defining canon. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Yep. This map is going in the vault, so to speak.
And that's a big responsibility.
It is.
Think about Darlene for Greyhawk, meaning for Midgard, and that was the other story for Midgard, is that when I got the first task of drawing a map of Midgard for Southlands and then redraw it for Midgard, the thing was that Jonathan Roberts had done the maps before me. And I got 2 jobs that year, 3 actually, and all 3 was to redo what Jonathan Roberts had done. And most people don't realize who Jonathan Roberts is. He did the map for Game of Thrones that year.
Oh, wow.
And that was kind of scary, meaning someone tell me, oh, Jonathan Roberts did a map when Game of Thrones were going like this. Was gangbusters. It was the coolest thing in fantasy ever. And the guy who did the map for Game of Thrones, someone asked me, can you do better than his map? That was a little bit like, oh, this is getting scary. And I got 3 jobs and I'm very happy with how it turned out. And that I actually had to redo what he did in a new version of it, so to speak. So awesome. Sometimes you get these things that are kind of a little bit scary. So
which temple here? I got to ask that, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Which color?
Actually, you're pretty close to it. Don't ask me to name the temple, please.
Which color is it? Just which one?
It's actually fairly red. I think if you zoom in to the left, actually, and scroll down a little bit, right there, that red top one.
This one?
Right there. Yep.
Okay. Oh,
apparently that had a scenario in the past. But my point being for this was my first time, like feeling the power. So here's where Anna and I split into the good side and the evil side. Me being the dark side, okay?
No.
Because I felt the power. Because now I've created something that is canon. Mm-hmm. And then more recently, I was asked to redraw. I know you were talking about redrawing things. I was asked to redraw the Gaxmore map for Troll Games.
Mm-hmm. Really? Nice.
Yeah. So that one is, maybe we could share that in a future show. I didn't give you that, but their recent Kickstarter, I redrew Gaxmore. So there is a certain responsibility. You have to match canon. You have to at least look like something that's been created before. Yeah. But if what has been created before, you, as a member of the dark side, tend to think looks like crap. You, being me, I want to go, oh, I can really bring it on this thing. And I want to put that little stamp of follow this. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Yeah. I want to create definitive maps that are very, very hard to follow for popular systems and settings. Gaxmore corrupted me because I created a map I feel will be very hard to follow. And I'm a modest person, but I know my skill, and I created something there that looks pretty damn good. Let me loose on something that has mass popularity, and I will do some harm to it. I will do some serious harm. And I that's what I want to do. I want to create a definitive piece. I mean, I did Teagle Manor a couple of years ago for Fargod Games. And I did it 12 feet across. No one else is going to do a Teagle Manor like I did on that one.
And that's
no one.
And you had to repeat what was done from all the years back too, right?
Right.
You
And
know,
I did.
from the original.
And it is true to the original. And it kicks freaking arse because it's got my level of detail to every single room.
Nice.
I want to do that. Like, if I could do that in a couple of Greyhawk cities or something, I honestly want to put my stamp on a couple of things, a couple of properties that basically says, excuse my French, but follow this, bitches. That's what I want to do. I seriously, I want to create my masterpiece. That, like, the RPG world goes, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's what
and
I
now
want
you
to do.
realize that who I want as one of my partners on doing the city of Greyhawk in 2-3 years. That is something Alyssa and me should dig into and do, because I think our different strengths and weaknesses could complement each other real well.
Because you're going to do the Gourd Greyhawk.
Well, yeah, but also what we can do, I provide the overall terrain, and then Alyssa can go in and
detail
the
blocks,
detail all the blocks and cities and paint all the stands at the market and the little cats in the backyard, alleys, and all that stuff.
Very, very cool.
So we should start thinking about
it. Would be the definitive edition as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Yeah. And we should do two
while
versions.
You are the light side and you
Yeah.
keep me true to the cause, I am the dark side, and I'm like, yeah, let's create something that future generations struggle to top.
Also it's meaning a city of that size, 50%, 90% maybe, or at least between 50 or 75 and 90% has never been described. 90% of the building is that city. It's never been written about. They've never been whatever. There's one version, and the TSR version, that has a kind of an illustration of the city that can be used to map as a good thing. But that is the easy one. But to dig into Gary's version, that is 4 times bigger and has way more content into it.
And a lot of
that one, I think, will be the definitive version.
Biggie Paul says the Queens of Maps collaborating would be amazing.
Yes,
and it would,
Yeah.
and I am on board.
Yeah, that's something, because I think in a start, because we need to start doing research, and that's when I reach out to everyone. Sketches, idea, make sure that all the city streets and stuff like that, this needs to be sketched out in detail a year or 2 in advance.
I know something else you could have collaborated on, though.
Yeah. You mean Altamira? Yeah, it could be a test case. Yes, it could be a test case. Yes.
Well, and you know, in all truth, I've been genuinely thinking about stopping all commissions, so just to work on things like this. In all truth, I will do commissions for Troll Lord. I'll do commissions for Frog Guard. And I've actually started some work for KRCM recently, and I love KRCM. Of course, I'm going to do work for them. But outside of that, just working on projects like this.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm not going to. Here's my city map for Altamira. That's what I have. That is all.
Like Anna said earlier, this is form and function. Who is the audience, and what do they need to know?
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
Everything goes on my table. All my, my maps are on the table.
That is super good.
Yeah, I have the reference.
Honestly, if a client hands me something like this, I am. We'll talk about this in another episode. We'll talk about clients and how to be a good client. But this is an immediate +5 points from a client perspective. I'm like, and Age of Antiquity did that. They gave me a shape of the city. I knew there was a river. They gave me the main locations of the POIs. They even told me which POIs needed to be on it. You've done that right here. I'm like,
okay,
you've just solved 8 hours of my time.
And the bar is not that high when it comes to being a client, because sometimes you don't get. There's usually 2 things. You either get nothing, or you get the kitchen sink, meaning they just send you 25 PDFs or 12 novels with like 2,600 pages. Well, the information is in there somewhere. You can just read it and find it out or something. So yeah, it can be real bad. Yeah.
So this ties into the last question of the night we'll take, and that was from the great Pex here. And he said, if you could continue to work on one of your maps that is quote unquote complete, which one would it be and why? And it kind of ties into what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
for me, there's two maps I want to do. One Greyhawk, and that's Hepmona land, because we have the top of the Hepmona land. I want the rest of it, so to speak. That's one. And for Midgard, there is one that I really want to do. And I know that there is much likelihood that Wolfgang will call me or email me in a year or so asking, and that's the Northlands, the north of the central area, so to speak, of Midgard, to do that. And we've sketched it out already. It's sketched, and I can't show you that one, but there is a sketch of it, and there's some, and I did that sketch, so I got a lot of artistic freedom, so to speak, mapping freedom on that one. And there are some, and because I haven't done a really cold Arctic expanse yet, and I begged Wolfgang, say, hold off on that one some years, because I want to learn. Now I'm starting to get there. Now I think I can do it justice, and it's kind of, it will be real cool, so to speak. So an Arctic, and sometimes I like those challenges, like Shieldlands, for instance. On the Darlene map is just a green bunch of hexes. There is no details whatsoever, nothing. Even if you read the stories, there's nothing about what the landscape looked like or anything. And there's a couple of rivers, like 2 rivers, that's it. There's nothing else, no names that gives you information of what the landscape looked like. I like these kind of challenges to make that difficult nothing into something interesting. That's something I like to do a lot, and that's something which, when we dig into big settings or large scale maps, there's a lot to talk about. But those are the 2 maps that I would like to expand and continue work on.
Awesome. And Alyssa, how about you for that question? Something you'd like to continue?
Well, so is the question continue?
Yeah, something that's complete. You might want to,
or expand on or something, like you've done one bit, and then there's like one other bit dying to get
because I've got a couple of dream maps that I would love to do, but I've had no hand in them yet.
Oh, okay.
And I would love to have a hand in them.
Okay.
But if we're gonna stick with just ones I've started, then it changes the playing field a little bit. So I'm going to bend the question just a tad. Because honestly, I'm all about city maps. I'm working on something as iconic as Greyhawk. Yes, I want to do something like that. I want to do Bard's Gate.
Wow.
I want to do that. I would love to do Tullus, to be honest with you. I've worked in that world. There's a couple of smaller pieces of mine in that world, so it counts for me. What would I like to really do? I would love to redraw Tullus, ground up completely. I'd love to do something like that. I'd bring my flair to it.
Okay.
And on the other end of the scale, a dungeon map, Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
Oh,
I would love to do that one.
Yes,
but do it Teagle Manor style.
Yeah,
1 inch.
That's so good, because it's
5 feet.
not on my high list to do. So it's perfect. You that is for you.
I would love to do it. I mean, Teagle Manor was 12 feet across. I think it was 12 feet by 12 feet.
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure that Expedition would be maybe bigger than that. I would love to do that. Every single freaking layer. I would love to do it. That is on my wish list.
It's that would be cool. I mean, it's so iconic, and and some people love it or hate it because of the technology involved in Greyhawk. Some people are, Anna's not a Greyhawk tech person, but some people, Mike Disney, it's one of his favorites of all time. That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Without the intertwinings of the WotC issue, though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I would love to do that. Can you imagine? I mean, I sat there for like 3 hours once drawing one room in Teagle Manor. I would love to do that level of detail, and like just lavish the love on Barrier Peaks.
And we have one other map that Greyhawk City, and then we have one, and that is the Slerutin's Tunnel.
Oh,
300 miles of dungeon maps under the mountains.
So,
That is something that, I would so love to do that together. That is one of the dream projects. The Slerutin tunnels, the secret passage under the crystal mist and the hell furnaces.
I feel like you're sneezing when you say that.
Yeah,
and I have no familiarity with it. But that is one of these things that we announce it and we can start working. But we need to work on a concept how we could present something of that scale, so to speak. To scale.
Yeah.
One inch real life is 5 feet in game.
My gosh.
I want to have dungeon maps across that whole expanse, so to speak. Would be so cool. And I would love to, because it's so large, if we have, so we can outsource and supervise a project like that, so we can get a few others on board, so we can actually do that. And get, because we need to have someone writing stuff in there, and there need to be tombs of things, that there need to be the Umber Hulk community and all sorts of stuff.
We could get the Greyhawk community to do that easily.
Meaning
I'd contribute to that.
Yeah, we should do that like an adventure path to go through the Slerutin's tunnel. That would be fantastic to do it, and have some geologists thinking, what would a volcano look like from under it, so to speak. You need to go through how lava tube works. And
I think big picture.
Yeah.
We get Carlos involved, and we strip out the Greyhawk names, change them up, and then we can publish it.
Yeah, exactly. Meaning that there's so many cool pet projects we can do. Meaning we can work on 20 years forward doing stuff like this.
That would be awesome. And note, it's a curse that Len has passed, but it's a blessing that Len is not here to nitpick everything that would happen in that Slerutin's tunnel, because he would be like,
he will be like, no.
Oh my gosh. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
So look, we're 2 hours already. See how it flies?
Yeah.
And I know Biggie Paul said something really complimentary, and I don't know how far scrolled back it was. Cannot wait for the next stream because this is so amazing. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
and I hope this is a great wetting your whistle on this.
Yeah, because this is just an introductory. We should dig deep into, meaning we talked about 30 topics today. We should have shows where we dig deep into 1 or 2 topics and talk more about it. Now it's like going all over the board. We want to be more focused in future show and talk about dungeon mapping or city mapping or coastlines or Photoshop or whatever it is.
Right.
Or
on the next show, Anna is roasting her worst client and naming names.
No.
So we will set a topic up, and all I'll say is it's there you go. I hit a wrong button, and I shouted out Blue Box instead, which is okay. Mm-hmm. A couple of things. I just put up Alyssa's and Anna's Patreons. If you haven't sign up for the Patrons, it's a fantastic thing because you get a lot of detail and content from it.
And you help us do stuff like this, to plan and have the technology and take the time to do stuff like this. So thank you to all our patrons, and you make this possible. Yeah.
Patrick, thank you, and we'll see. I know you got to roll.
Yeah, thank you.
Note the following: barring a guest, because guests are always great. If we were to get some mega guests for the next show, we'll get a topic set up and we'll get it out like about 2 weeks before the show starts. And we're looking at already, the date is roughly a month from today, for July 16th, at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's the day before our Band Adventure fundraiser event. So we got a lot going on that weekend, which will be really awesome. So anything you'd like to shout out that you're working on or doing? Alyssa, we'll start with you on that topic. Anything?
I just want to thank everyone for allowing me to be here. I'm super excited about the future. I think this is going to be an absolutely stunning show that's just going to get better and better and better, without a doubt. And I truly feel at home already.
Awesome.
What am I working on right now? I'm going to finish up the Age of Antiquity map right there, my largest map in maybe a couple of years. And I'm working on 2 maps for Chaosium, which I can't tell you about, unfortunately, but they're going to be freaking awesome. And I'm going to bring the Faden Fire to the Chaosium camp. That's my intention. So watch out for them.
Fantastic.
Cool.
And thank
Yeah.
you for
Oh, thank
coming
you
on and
for
participating
yeah.
in this. I'm
Mhm.
so excited. Things are going. We live in interesting times, and this everyone loves cartography. It is such a necessity in the visual world we live in with the gaming now. It just is like this is where something that makes a game. It really does.
Yeah.
Having that, so
Mhm.
it is really wonderful. Anna, what do you got going on?
Well, I have. You saw the new for Gryffindor games that Kickstarter just got
Yep.
launched. So hang on a second. I'll see if I can link to it, or
Yeah,
we can.
please do.
I'll link on all my social media and stuff
Okay.
tomorrow, and dig into it and show some examples and stuff. But it's a Gryffindor games. It's a Kickstarter. I forgot what the name of the Kickstarter is now, so I barely looked at but it seems to go really well. So that will be the hex scroll map. So I will produce 15 or 20 or something of hexes like that will look better than that one, because that's a concept quickly done, so to speak. So that's one the only commission I have at the moment, and we haven't really geared up for it, so I don't know exactly when I'll actually start doing that. In the meantime, I'm working full time on Greyhawk stuff. So the well, yeah. So
I
Oh,
did that.
that's yeah,
I just
no
put up the
problem.
fantasy mapping show.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah. I will give the kind of finalize. It's the wrong word, but it's to make the Earth map done, so to speak. So there will be a new climate map is already done, so that will be presented, and I will update with the new coastlines and the latest update of Imperia-esque map. So I will present the texture map, and then we'll have that done for now, so to speak, because I think it's good enough for now. So then I will let community digest it and see what kind of criticism, long-term criticism, will come from it, and then go back and redo that this fall or something like that. But it's good enough that I know where the Flanies is, so we can go and hit Mona Land and Isle of Dread and stuff. So for what's needed for the fall update of the Flanies map and the Atlas, and to dig into GIS, it's good enough for that. Then we can tweak how big things should be in the western part of Eric and stuff like that. That's secondary. So it's good enough for that. And then it's basically continue to work on Lendor Isles, my maps for my campaign, and start work on the Atlas and Flanny's map upgrade for this fall. That's the main things. Yep.
Very cool. Thank you both. We keep busy on this channel, as you know. So what do we have going on here tomorrow? Sunday night. Oh, I'm off on a Saturday here. Yes.
You don't stream every day yet.
Not every day. So we got a great discussion. Hey, Brian, thank you for hopping in here and joining us. Welcome.
Yeah.
So we got Anna, myself, and the ever mysterious Tim. And I threw in on last Saturday's game, and Anna's the only one that sniffed it out at the beginning. I threw in an anti-paladin, which is one of the original baddies of all time in old school. So we're going to talk about holy and unholy warriors in our Gavin discussion on Sunday. Paladins, anti-paladins, the Crusader class, knights, all the classes we have in our game, and that's what we're going to discuss on Sunday's show. Okay, so that'll be a fun one, and then Legends and Lore. I don't think I have a banner for this. Legends and Lore. We're going to talk about governments of Greyhawk on Wednesday night. So we'll go through the different government setups for like the Yeomanry and the City of Greyhawk and the Great Kingdom. We'll talk about that, myself, Anna, and Greyhawk. Mike Bridges, some things down the road. July 3rd in the morning, 10 a.m. Tim's Barbarian group finally gets off the road. I know they've done a session 0, but so we'll get to see the ever mysterious Tim DMing with the underdogs, all those new level barbarians in the Rovers of the Barons. I get to produce that and just sit back and watch Tim kill everyone. So that's fun for me. So yeah, that'll be Saturday, July 3rd. And then the big next fundraiser event is the Bad Adventure fundraiser. And that's the day after that we'll have our second episode of Fantasy Mapping Show, Saturday, July 17th. I have already confirmed Eric Mona and James Jacobs to play in the finale. I'm going to... This was all Eric's idea on that Legends of Lore we did.
Yeah.
and he's like, let's run a real bad adventure, one of those classically horrible adventures, and let's make a fundraiser out of it. I said, okay, well, I'm going to run Gargoyle.
Yeah.
and John at Blue Box, who's going to have all the Tailspire VTT execs or the stream before, is going to probably run Puppets. So what a fun doubleheader that'll be. It's all the money's going to go to St. Jude. So that'll be our second St. Jude fundraiser of the year. So that's what we have going on with for now. A lot of other things. We're going to do a Heartbeat stream on Thursday night, a one-shot. So I'll have some fun there. Lots going on. Let's do the giveaways, and then I want everyone to. We're going to raid in Nightheart Gaming, who's got that fundraiser going on tonight and tomorrow. So let's really show them some love. Remember, it's going to be a Mike Disney Overlord print and a $25 gift certificate to Troller Games. First winner, you get your choice. You got to be on to claim it. All right. Anyone want to sign up last second? Please do that. We'll do the giveaways. This is where Alyssa, sometimes Jay hits a wrong button. Hopefully I don't here. So
no, I don't believe that. Not for one moment.
All right. Closing them out. Winner number one. You get your choice of whether you want the $25 gift certificate or Justinius, you win again. It's okay. It's okay. I'll get you out. Justinius last night won the Mike Disney Scarn painted miniature last night. Zytec 2K. Zytec, great. Grats. Which one do you want, Zytec? Do you want the Mike Disney print or do you want the $25 gift certificate to Troller Games? Your call. Okay. Just let me know. I know you're on, Zytec. I saw you. You want the 25. Okay, you got the 25 TLG. That's easy enough for me to get to you. And then the winner, the second winner is Zump. Zump.
Oh, that's a cool.
Win Zump. You win the Mike Disney print.
Nice.
Zump, I may have your address already, but please whisper to me your name and address. I think I may have it, but just to play it safe, it should be in my database for the Postal Service. Congrats to both the winners. Alyssa, Anna, thanks. What a great show tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jay.
Wonderful.
And thank you, everyone who showed up for this first one. So it was a bit all over the place, but I hope it was fun and a little bit informative. And then we should dig deep into topics as we go along in future shows that will be more focused, so to speak. This was just to get things started, so to speak, to get the ball.
And if you haven't guessed, Anna and I are doing Good Cop, Bad Cop, and future shows.
We will go on like crazy and dig way too because Alyssa and me, we think way too much about stuff like this. So especially me overthink things 5 times.
Wait until we grill our worst clients.
Oh yes! Oh God! Gosh. Oh yeah! That will be terrible. So,
we're not going to be naming names. Are we?
But we have some examples that should not be mentioned, so to speak. So yeah. But on the other hand, we have to give it. They are the ones that give us work, so to speak. So they and our patrons. But patrons, we have nothing wrong to say about because they just give us money and tell us what to do, and then just So so patrons are awesome.
So Enoch Proc, one last thing, said, I need some Alyssa and Anna emotes. I will do them if I don't get rejected for partner for the 25th time from Twitch. Okay, that'll give me another 20-some emotes. I promise you I'll get those emotes if we keep on. Look at that. Now Lawful Stupid's rating us right here. This is great.
Oh man, really? In the last minute?
Lawful Stupid comes in. Lawful Stupid is
awesome.
participating.
Yep.
Thank you so very much.
We have to stay on for a couple of minutes.
I'm going to stay on for 2 minutes, Lawful Stupid. Then we're going to raid into Nightheart Gaming, as Nightheart Gaming's doing a fundraiser event. We're just finishing up with Alyssa and Anna, but thank you. Some things I'll do a couple things here. Cannon Fire Discord. It should have popped up. Didn't that pop up? Campfire Discord, if you're interested in Greyhawk Talk, it's a great place to go. Greyhawk Online Discord, you just have to go through the Greyhawk Online website to get to that. And then Virtual Greyhawk Con Discord, sign up start for DMing events July 1st. We're getting real close for our con. I'm really looking forward to it. It'll be our second con. Greyhawk Reborn's already coming in. I have the entire schedule. I put it out there for all the streamers that are involved. Lawful Stupid's involved. Mike Disney's involved. Blue Box, Praetor's Rejects, Time Lord's Wife, Stella Luna. I know I'm missing some. Wily Hobbit. They're all involved, and that's just the stream part of it. 3 full days, 24-hour coverage. But we're going to have all these events, and we're inviting some big names. from the industry to see if they want to DM some events. Alan Hammock already said he'd do something, which is great. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing if he'll do a Ghost Tower of Avernus that he wrote. So really, thank you so very much for coming in, Lawful Stupid. From the I know you're streaming out of the UK. Just caught the end of this here, but it's good because now we got even a larger lump sum of people that we can go into No Hard Gaming to a fundraiser event. So thank you so very much. Let's head over there and really give them a massive raid here. And here we go. I gotta hit the right button. See you all next show in about a month for this, but see you all Sunday night for a nice Gavin discussion.
Yep.
See you soon. Good night.
Bye.
Great timing, Lawful Stupid. Thank you so very much as we hit this up here, and let's raid in the Nightheart here. I'm good setting it up.
Thank you, George. This is awesome. Thank you. Yep.
I'd love to get to 100. All right, that's 77. That's 78. That's awesome. 80. Thank you. 5, 81. 4, 3, 2, 1. See you Sunday night. Thank you, everyone, for the participation. Awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Got to really pump up this fundraiser.
Yeah.
That's great. Let me shut this off.